So for starters, which Pirates movie is your favorite Pirates movie?
Ah, man, a favorite Pirates movie, man. That is, you know what's funny? It's like it's a bit of an outlier,
Right.
but I did like the one with Blackbeard. What was
Oh,
that?
Stranger Tides?
It was the one with Fountain of Youth.
Yeah, on Stranger Tides.
Yeah. I liked that one because well, that's the thing is like I really just liked Jack
Right.
in that movie.
Yes.
That one felt very titular to his character.
Right. I need to rewatch that and see what I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this recording is going to be particularly probably difficult for you because normally our webcam is right next to the screen of us.
Yeah.
So normally when you're looking at the screen, the webcam is not too far away. Now they're opposite of each other, so it's like we can really tell when we're looking away.
Yeah. So it's like either I'm looking at the camera and the screen. It's like
I should have switched them. That would have been so much easier.
I can't look at the camera and the audience at the same time.
You know, maybe. Well, no, because then we would lose it. Well, the good news is that the video will be playing over here, so we can watch TV.
Right.
With the audience, so at least be looking in that direction then.
Okay.
I would say my favorite is always the tried and true Curse of the Black Pearl, because I feel like as far as plots go and in actual like movement of characters, that is the most rock solid of all the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's going to have its flaws and it's going to have its flim-flams and nitpicks and stuff, but I think out of all of the cursed pirate movies with spirits and, you know, unrealistic things that happen in them, I think this one stands to be the most realistic, the Black Pearl. Well, not necessarily realistic, but the one that doesn't fuck around with the plot too much. Like it gives you the basic suspense of disbelief.
Yeah.
You know, like suspend your disbelief and believe that, you know, there is this Aztec curse. Mm-hmm. Just run with us on that, and everything else can play out fairly normally.
It's like, okay, these are some gold coins. They're cursed. They need to be brought back.
Right.
And it's like, if you guys can just believe all that, then the rest of this movie will be smooth.
Yeah, there's a couple other things that play into that. I know one of the ones was one of the big ones was there was a guy who was he was talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, how realistic it was as far as that time period. And they were like, first off, you know, a galleon ship, or I can't remember what kind of ship it was. I think it's a galleon. It's a galleon ship assaulting Port Royal, the most, you know, defensive British fortress, you know, on the coast, or not on the coast, but that island. He was like, that's unrealistic. And I thought, well, first off, they can't die.
Well,
it's an invincible ship.
Yeah, it's like I was like, oh, a galleon? That could never take on Port Royal. It's just like, this isn't a regular galleon.
Yeah, I'm like, this is the Black Pearl.
It's just like, oh, this man killed an entire building full of people with a pistol? That's so unrealistic. I'm like, yeah, it's a pistol with unlimited ammo. It's just like, I've already added a supernatural element to this gun. Like, it doesn't need to be realistic beyond that point.
Right, and the Black Pearl already has supernatural abilities, because another thing he said was, he was like, those cannons wouldn't be shooting off that fast. Again, I'm like, it's not going to be your common galleon.
Yeah.
It's not going to be your average ship. And, you know, and it's going to have a literal skeleton crew. You have a crew of skeletons in there.
You know, it's like those, like, I don't know. It's like those particular people piss me off more than, like, the rest, because it's like, one, it's fantasy.
Right.
Just like they've already added like supernatural elements to this. Just have fun with that. Just enjoy that.
Exactly.
But it's also when they try to like just to give an example, when Skyrim came out, so many like sniffing their own farts fucking historians were just like, actually in Nordic culture that horned helmet would be inaccurate because they never actually put horns in their helmet.
I see that all the time with Norse shit.
And I'm just like, these aren't Vikings. These are Nords in a fantasy. This is a completely different culture. This isn't
Norse. It's Nord. There's a difference.
Yeah, I'm just like,
as a D.
There's like in Celtic culture they actually never put horns on their helmet. I'm just like, these aren't Celts.
Yeah, these aren't
This
Celtic
is a
people.
different culture on a different planet in a fantasy
If
setting.
it was Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I would still give it a pass because it's still a fantasy setting.
Exactly.
I understand that they're trying to be historically accurate, and it might be.
They're not even trying
It would
anymore.
not anymore.
God,
God, what has happened to Assassin's
They
Creed?
don't give a fuck anymore.
Dude, there's a video I need to show you.
Yeah.
This guy, I need a super shout out to this guy. He did a blade and sorcery mod of Assassin's Creed, and the guy. Now I've put I saw it on Steam. I don't put a whole lot of time into games. I've put probably about 15 hours into Blade and Sorcery already, and I've had the game for about maybe a month now, which is pretty high for me. Like, normally I don't put that much time into a game that quickly.
Yeah.
But I've put about 14 hours into this Blade and Sorcery game, and I've gotten a good feel for it, especially with adding in mods and shit. And he does shit in this game that I didn't know you could do.
Right.
Like, it's impressive, some of the stuff that he's done. And the coolest thing was he was dressed up as Altair, killing Templars and shit, and I'm like, that's dope because that's my favorite assassin. And
nice.
And he dressed up as, and it was just I posted on Facebook, baller video, absolute legendary video. I'll just send it to you. It was awesome. But yeah, like historical accuracy. That was the thing because he was doing Pirates of the Caribbean, and then like before that he was doing The Patriot. I'm like, these are two very different genres. Like The Patriot, is meant to be a historical film. So historical accuracy is kind of in the name.
Yeah.
Right? Pirates of the Caribbean is a Disney pirate movie, right? And I'm not going to do the whole argument it's made for kids, therefore it shouldn't be accurate. I'm going to make the argument of it is a fantasy world. It should have fantasy elements.
Yeah.
And so it really, not upset. I mean, it like bothered me.
Annoys you.
Yeah, it was just annoying. It was kind of like because I was excited to see his take on it, but I think what bothers me the most is it's just saying the quiet part out loud. It's like, yes, this, these skeletons and this skeleton ship is not realistic, and I'm like, yeah, no shit, I'm not learning anything from you.
Yeah, exactly.
I
hate it when people like take something that is clearly like fantastical and fictional and mystical, and they try to compare it 1-to-1 with the real world.
Exactly. It bothered me to no end. You know,
it's like the Celts didn't have horns on their head. I'm like, yeah, they also couldn't cast fire out of their hands.
They also couldn't Fus Roda.
They didn't.
They also weren't fighting dragons.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I'm just like, okay.
They didn't suck up the energy of dead dragons.
Yeah, they didn't drink dragon souls and like, I don't know, man. I don't want to like turn this into like a 5-hour rant, but
no, I don't mind. We got time. We got time. This is at least gonna be a two-parter.
Yeah, but yeah. As far as like, although I will say the assault on Port Royal is one of my favorite pirate scenes.
It is a great scene.
It's really fun. I love it.
Are we ready to get into this?
Yeah, of course. Let's play.
Let's crack one.
Yeah.
We got some coors. Cheers to a good movie. So. If you haven't gathered yet, one of the previous videos... Oh, actually, there was one thing...
Delicious piss water.
Yes. There was one thing I wanted to talk about before we got into this. I mentioned it in my previous video on YouTube. It's about a 7-8 minute video. And I wanted to talk to you about it because, we don't normally cover it, but it's a big historical moment for both you and me. And so I felt like you being a part of our channel, you should at least get a moment to speak your mind on the matter. With the passing of Kevin Conroy. In case you guys don't know, he was the voice of Batman for about going on 30 years. He was a very impressive voice actor, and he meant a lot to both me and Riley growing up. And so I got to say my full, 7-8 minute speech about what he meant to me. So I just wanted to get your opinion on
it's like
Kevin Conroy.
The thing about Kevin Conroy is that, like, he's not just a Batman.
Right.
He was the Batman.
Yeah. I would say he was, growing up in my life, it was hard to look at, I looked at Michael Keaton as always kind of the Batman, but it was hard to to say that sometimes to people because they're like, "Oh, who's your Batman?" I would go to say Michael Keaton, but at the same time, I'm like, but Kevin Conroy kills this role so good. He just never did a live action performance.
Well,
if he was young enough to do that live action performance, he would have been my Batman full swing.
So my thing is like, it's not just his voice, and for a lot of kids and for a lot of adults that grew up around me and Jeremy's age range, his voice is almost not his own voice.
Yes.
It's Batman's voice.
Yes, you see him and you're
hear
like,
that and you're like, that's not Kevin Conroy. That's Batman.
Yeah.
And there's a big reason for that. Is because Kevin Conroy, when he started playing Batman, when he started doing the voice of Batman, it started with Batman the Animated Series.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know because they just kind of grew up with that show, and they don't understand like the whole context of it. But that show basically laid the foundation of the Batman franchise, what it is today.
Right.
Batman's no-kill rule started with the animated series. Harley Quinn, the character, was made for the animated series.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Freeze's dead wife, well, frozen wife, that began in the animated series.
Really? I actually didn't know all that.
Well, yeah, because like if you go back to like Val Kilmer's Batman, Mr. Freeze is just a Arnold Schwarzenegger in the big old blue like suit.
I actually think Val Kilmer's Arnold Schwarzenegger was after the animated series. Because it had the wife in there, but that was after. That was like early 2000s. That was like 2000.
Then it would have been around the same time then.
Yeah, it would have been like 2000, 2002. Here, let me actually do a quick.
But that's the thing. It was like
Google search.
Mr. Freeze before the animated series was just an ice themed gangster.
Right. His
dying wife with the disease. All of that was
1995. So it would have been after. Because 1992.
When is Batman the animated series?
I think it's 1992.
And the animated series.
Let's see, Batman the animated series.
1992. Yep, 92. Yeah, because like
Riley coming in with the facts.
No, that's the thing is like that show is so pivotal for the Batman franchise because it laid the foundation of what Batman is today.
Yes.
Harley Quinn is like I want to say like a tenured character now.
Right.
Like
she's almost a classic now.
Yeah, it's like it was almost jarring to see Heath Ledger play the Joker because there was no Harley Quinn in it.
Right.
It was like we didn't have a Harley Quinn when Heath Ledger was playing Joker. We were like, man, what's the Joker without Harley Quinn? But then you get older and you realize that it's not really like Harley Quinn is just like a punching bag to Joker.
Right.
It's really about Batman and Joker's relationship.
As she should be. Yeah.
Yeah, like a woman should. Yeah, make me a pie. Put it on the windowsill.
And also one of the things that I really respected about the animated series was growing up, the music. I want to talk about that for a sec because growing up, like I said, my favorite Batman to watch was the '89 Batman film, right? With Michael Keaton. That music. And then my favorite Lego game to play was the Lego Batman game, which used that same music, right?
Oh, yeah.
Then you had the 1992 Batman that had music that was almost like it was so taken from the 89.
Like the big orchestral.
Yeah, the big orchestral. Yeah, boom, boom. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, man, this is just the Batman music. Nothing else matches that to me.
So it's like that music that plays in the animated series was also in the 1989 and the Batman.
Yeah, they're not the same, but they are so close. Like
they tweaked a couple of like notes here and there, but so to me, Kevin Conroy is not just a Batman; he is the Batman because he started voicing Batman when Batman was on a huge turn, and he is playing the version of Batman that we recognize now.
Yes.
It's like, because like before the animated series, Batman totally killed people. He used guns and shit.
He killed the Joker in '89.
Yeah.
He literally basically did the whole Batman Begins thing where it's like, I'm not going to kill you, but it doesn't mean I have to save you.
Yeah.
You know? He straight up murdered him. He shot the gargoyle, wrapped it around his leg, and then let him fall to his death. So he murked a dude.
There was a movie, I'm not sure if it was like, I'm not sure which one it was, but maybe it was Val Kilmer, or it was the second one with Michael Keaton, where Catwoman was in it.
Yes.
where he literally just like set a dude on fucking fire with the Batman with the Batmobile.
Yes, and then there was a dude that had a bomb strapped to him, and he just like straps it to him, throws him down a dumpster, and it blows up. I'm like, you're straight up killing people.
No, Batman murked people hardcore in the movies and other like. That's the thing.
The only one that didn't before that was Adam West.
Well, that's because that was during the Silver Age, and there was a lot of censorship with comics.
Right.
There's a whole history lesson that you can like YouTube, but understand that in the Silver Age of comic books, it was basically like we can't do like too much violence. We can't have them fighting like human enemies. It has to be like big monsters and gorillas and shit.
Right.
Because back then, people were like, "Oh, comic books are making teenagers misbehave and jerk off and get their palms all hairy."
I'm like, they were doing that anyway.
Yeah, sound familiar, gamers?
You know what's funny, man? That reminds me of when and in case y'all guys are wondering when we're going to actually watch the movie, who fucking knows? And just sit your ass down and enjoy this. This is going to be.
You're not here for the movie. You're here for us.
We're going to talk about our shit, and then we'll get to it. But that reminds me, there was a lady that I was talking to because I work in retail, and I get so frustrated by these people. It's this type of parenting that pisses me off. It was a grandmother. She's like, I'm looking to get a Switch game for my grandson because apparently he plays a Nintendo Switch, and she wanted to get a game for him. And I'm like, terrific. It's an 8-year-old kid, I think, right?
Cool.
And she was like, what would you recommend? I said, I would honestly recommend Breath of the Wild. That might be a bit complex for him, but it's a very fun, adventurous game. And I think it's bright colors, very pretty, all this sort of stuff. And she was like, yeah, I just don't want anything with violence in it. And I'm like, ugh. And then I was like, what about, and I pointed at Kirby. I'm like, what about Kirby? Kirby, you're combating enemies. But it's still a happy, lovely show. And she was like, I just don't really want anything, I just don't want any, like, violence or combat. And I'm like, it's Kirby! It's fucking Kirby!
I was like, okay, first of all, define what violence is
like,
to you.
Is, like, throwing a punch violent to you?
I was like, when
Which,
Mario,
is
like,
funny to clip, but...
When Mario, like, jumped up and
stomped on a Goomba.
Like, was that violence to you?
That was the only thing I could think of. I was like, maybe Mario, but I'm like, no, because he's stomping on Goombas, and apparently that's violence.
I'm just like, I was just staring. It was like, man, games like that don't exist.
Yeah, I was like, the last game that was like that was called Tetris.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, but, like... combat
Did you play Asteroid or like what was it, Space Invaders when you were a kid? That's violent.
Yeah.
You're literally mowing.
Centipede? I'm literally a guy in a spaceship killing a centipede piece by piece.
Oh man, it just frustrates me because I'm like, do you think he's? Because here's my thing. For boys in particular, because I'm pretty sure it was an 8-year-old boy. I'm like, what would you rather have? Would you rather like domesticate a child to where they're never going to be a violent person, or would you want them to have the ability to be violent towards the right enemies? Because
okay, my fucking thing is like, it's Zelda. There's no blood anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But like the way I look at it is that if you try and hide a kid from any sort of violence, you're keeping something from. Because my first thought is. Okay, so you're trying to prevent him from playing any violent video games, but you're gonna let him go outside and play war?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the same thing.
What about cops and robbers?
What about cops and robbers? What about Nerf? It's like all these things. It's like, I would rather give my kid violent video games that fight bad people to at least raise them to know the things that we fight are bad things. We as I guess men, because men, I feel like...
Listen, man, those turtles did nothing to Mario. They were innocent.
One of my things is I feel like men, just as are part of the species, we like to defend. We're the guys that go off to war. We're the defenders. We're the ones that have to fight to save, right? Mm-hmm. And I would rather foster that and point that in a good direction, in being like, you need to, sometimes, we need to fight dark things or to fight bad people, but sometimes it has to happen. You shouldn't raise a child not to be just violent, because for one thing, it's probably going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
And then second off, I would rather direct it for them to be like, okay, well, if you're gonna fight, at least fight something that's bad.
Yeah.
At least fight the bad guys and not, because then I feel like they're not gonna be able to distinguish what to go up against. What's the proper thing to funnel that towards? And that's when you get some of the bad shit that's been going on throughout the years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I hate that parenting. I can't stop them, so I don't know what the fuck. I think I gave him a Mario game, but I was like, I don't know what to give you because this is Nintendo. This is like the most child-based of child games.
Yeah, I'm just like, dude, I think Mario Party even has like some combat in it.
Yeah.
Like a touch of it.
Yeah, it bothers me to no end.
Yeah. And we're just like, listen, I would have just been honest. I would have been like, lady, if I give you a game that has no violence, your kid's never going to play it. It's like, either you get him a game that you like,
or he's going to play War Outside.
Yeah, it's like, either get him a game that you know that he will like, or just get him a game that he'll never play.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm sorry, but like...
And I mean, that's, it's the same reason, like, to loop it back to what we're talking about, Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like, the protagonists are literally sword-fighting enemies and, shooting them with flintlock pistols. But it's like, yeah, it's because they're fighting skeleton zombies that hoarded gold and were actually bad pirates.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of the things that made me... Because I used to not be into pirates for a minute, because I was like, wait, pirates are... Because I started reading up on history, and I'm like, wow, these were terrible people. Oh, but I feel like this movie balances it, because they're like, yes, pirates are terrible people. See Barbossa and his crew. But, the pirates that we fight, or the pirates that we have, are, morally questionable people, as far as Jack goes. But they at least have the morals to know who to fight, and they have the code and things like that. They have a moral, I guess, grounds.
It is very like Disney.
It is very Disney-fied. It's very Disney-fied.
Where it's like instead of, I don't know. I mean, if you're gonna make a movie where pirates are your main protagonists, you kind of have to
yeah, you're gonna
stretch the truth.
You're gonna wash it a little bit.
Yeah.
But the thing is when I was thinking back on it, I'm like, yeah, pirates are morally abject people, but the movie displays that. They show morally abject pirates. So it's not like they're hiding it. They're like, yeah, these are bad people. See, the Black Pearl crew. It's like, yeah, they're bad people. Yeah. Of course, you have your good pirates, but the good pirates are really just fighting the Black Pearl.
Yeah.
That's really all they're doing. Jack assembles a crew just so he can get his ship back.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and then it's like, what do we do afterwards? And it cuts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I think that'll be a good point to start us off for discussing our Pirates of the Caribbean. So, without further ado, let us begin watching Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl.
Yeah.
And one of the first things, we'll be stopping periodically, of course, because there's a lot to unpack from all these scenes. First off, one of the things that I want to talk about is, this is one of the first few... Oh, and you're not in the shot entirely. But this is one of the first few Disney movies that starts off really eerie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's got the quiet music, the little flute. She's singing the song from the ride, but it has a completely different tone. It's not like, the yo-ho parts.
Right.
It's like, it's quiet. You can barely hear. There's fog everywhere. It's like an empty vessel. You know what I mean? Like, it's an eerie setting to like, if this is your beginning shot for everyone at home to see, like, this is kind of creepy. I mean, it's not a black ship and all that, but for Disney, it starts off on an interesting note, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But
has Keira Knightley done anything else besides the Pirates movies?
Keira Knightley.
I that's the thing.
She was in Thor.
Was she?
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
I think it was Keira Knightley, or was it? No, it was Keira Knightley's, or fuck, what's her name from Star Wars? Natalie Portman. That's
no.
Yeah.
Keira Knightley was Natalie Portman's body double.
Yeah.
In the Star Wars movies.
Right. But it was Natalie Portman that was in Thor.
Yeah.
So we get a good look at Gibbs. he's important. We'll see him later on. The one thing I've always wondered is the gap between Gibbs here and Gibbs that we see later on.
Mm-hmm.
But it just goes to show like the tone that the director's trying to set with this movie. We have a lady on board, which if you know anything about history, normally women were not allowed to be on ships. There was kind of a bad luck vibe about it, or at least as they say in the film, they say it later on, which kind of plays out. I mean, they come across some destruction along the way.
I thought it was just because they were gonna get like immediately dogpiled by dudes.
Oh, that too.
Yeah, I imagine that would happen a lot.
Oh yeah. Oh, loads. Get it?
Yeah.
But it kind of starts off with a jump scare, and it immediately goes into the cursed vibe that this has.
Yeah.
Because Gibbs, it plays off well because Gibbs is a particularly superstitious guy. It just so happens this is like the time when Alex Jones is right.
Yeah.
It's like he's,
kind of looks like him too. Kind of looks like Alex.
There are
Jones.
cursed pirates in these waters.
And they're making the frogs gay.
Frogs gay. When the astral planes and they align, they'll send down aliens and we'll curse with the Aztec gold. It's like Gibbs, are you okay? But yeah, so it starts off putting the pirates as a kind of superstition. So he's saying, talking about the cursed pirates, how they're in these waters. He's like, you don't want to bring them down on us. He's immediately freaking the fuck out of this chick.
Yeah.
And
this Elizabeth Swan?
Elizabeth Swan, yeah.
I almost wanted to say Swank. Elizabeth Swank.
Elizabeth Swank. Thug life.
Yeah.
But what I really liked about this was they don't skip a beat. They go right into it. They're like, okay, this is the tone. Boom, jump scare. He's like, cursed pirates could be in these waters. You don't want to bring them down on us. And he's like, bad to be singing about pirates with this fog and with all this shit going on. Like, you can tell he's a very superstitious character. Mm-hmm. And so that sets him up. It sets her up interestingly because what it establishes is, for one thing, she knows this pirate song.
Yeah.
Not a whole... I mean, I don't think she's been around many a Tortuga, areas, right? She's normally a pretty upper-class citizen.
Well, she's like the daughter of some
she's
aristocrat.
She's the daughter of the governor of Port Royal.
Yeah, some politician.
Yeah, just a basic politician. So she's usually an upper class lady. She wouldn't necessarily know sea shanties about cursed pirates unless she was going into some area she probably couldn't go. Mm-hmm. So what this describes immediately is that, for one thing, she's upper class. Second off, she's with we have a location. She's obviously with the English merchants. Oh, I just noticed he's got his flask. Always carries some whiskey with him wherever he goes, or rum.
See, Gibbs is such a complicated character.
Surprisingly, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just like, okay, he hangs with Jack, who is a pirate, but he was also hired by Elizabeth Swan's father?
Well, what I gather from it, I'm pretty sure what happens is this is 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Jack wouldn't be too much older than she is. He's probably in his teenage years right now.
Yeah.
So what I imagine is that he hasn't actually met Jack yet, and by something, probably because of his drinking, he probably gets discharged from the Royal Guard.
Yeah.
I assume that's what he is. Or the Navy. Yeah, the Navy. He gets discharged from the Navy and ends up pursuing a life of piracy. And that's where he meets Jack. That's what I'm assuming. But just in the few short scenes, we get information about these characters. For one thing, for her, an upper-class lady, to know a pirate shanty and about cursed pirates, she would have to have a fascination with pirates themselves, which is what they set her up to be. In a few sentences later, he's obviously a superstitious one, and then Norrington, the guy that we're about to see, sets himself up to basically be the stern. I honestly used to think he was the captain until I saw the subtitles one day and he says "rouse the captain." I'm like, oh, he's actually not the commander, but it's because he holds himself in that prestigious, stoic look that he gives off that vibe of ambition.
Right.
So I think we get a lot of info with these short scenes, and then there's the governor back there. Yeah. Bad luck to having women on board. Like that, even a miniature one, and then sneakily taking some shots. And then talks about how it's exciting to be a pirate. Like, it gives you all this information, sets up these characters so you know what's going up, or what's going on. For one thing, we see that Elizabeth, likes pirates. The governor's kind of watching this situation take place, wondering where Norrington's going to take it. And you get information about Norrington, about how he basically hates pirates.
Yeah.
He's like, you might like Pirates Kid, but you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah. It's like, I think it would be rather exciting to meet a pirate. And it's like, I would expect a mental invalid like you to say such a thing.
I find it rather exciting to be a pirate. Yeah, when I was your kid, I had stupid dreams too. And a subtle way for Disney to put in the guillotine, essentially. Or the hangings. He's like a short drop and a sudden stop. It's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Gibbs being Gibbs. And so we get some good stuff because governor's coming in. He's like, "Hey, you're talking about hanging people. Could you not?"
In front of my kid.
Yeah, but
in front of my 9-year-old.
Yeah, he apologizes about it all, and because they were talking about pirates and all this shit. And she's like, "Actually, I'm kind of into it." And he's like, "Yeah, that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that you're okay with this."
That's the thing is like, I imagine she's just like she's just young, naive.
Yes.
Doesn't really know about the real world. She's very sheltered in her little like.
And I think that's what
community.
continues into her later years.
Yeah.
Is that still sheltered because she never really leaves Port Royal.
Yeah.
She's been there for fucking 20 years.
It was like, I mean, that's the thing. It was like, imagine like someone who grew up in a very like wealthy, sheltered community, was like the daughter of like, I don't know, the senator of a state. Never really left outside their town, and they were just like taking a drive with you, and they were just like, I think it'd be rather exciting to meet a carjacker. Like,
it's like, what? What gave you that impression? Yeah, it's like
I'm sorry, what?
It's like looking, it's like an upper class white dude wanting to be a thug. Am I right, sir? No.
I was like, you do see that in Elizabeth Swan,
and it's a common thing too. I mean, because you look at pirates from her perspective. I mean, because she's read about them and whatnot. It seems to be an adventurous life.
Yeah. Right.
You're going off. You're taking what's not necessarily yours. What is it? Process and the proper way to act. All that can be thrown out the window. I'm gonna take what I can, and I won't give any of it back.
Yeah. She's like one of those like quirky and unique. I'm not like other girls. Where it's like, I don't use forks and spoons when I eat. I shovel soup with my bare fucking hands.
just like from a lake.
Just like from a like. I was just like, it's like from her perspective.
It was a stew, not a soup.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like from her perspective, pirates just sort of epitomize like the free roaming, no chains hold me down kind of lifestyle. Right. A lifestyle that she is very much used to at this point, where it's like, prim, proper, go to church on Sundays,
etiquette,
get dressed, etiquette, shake people's hands, wipe their asses. Ugh, it's sickening. I hate this life.
So terrible, yeah. And so, naturally, wanting to be. Looking at pirates, I mean, the freedom that they have is unlike anything she's ever experienced. Mm-hmm. So of course it's going to be alluring just because of the fact that it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's the whole bad boy situation.
Mm-hmm.
So all that makes sense with her at this young age, and then of course women got to be women over here, and the bad luck immediately comes our way.
Nice with parasol.
With the fact of a destroyed ship.
That's the thing that I never quite understood, is that, like, that destroyed ship was the ship of pirates, right?
No. It was a merchant vessel.
Okay.
So, the way to describe it is, you have this boy. Well, we'll jump ahead a little bit, but I'll try and keep it vague for further story. This boy, now the pirates, Actually, it's been 10 years, not 20 years. The Barbossa and his crew.
Mm-hmm.
You actually might be right about what's his face now that I think about it, about Gibbs, but Barbossa has already committed the Mutiny Act.
Right.
And they've been stealing, and they stole the Aztec gold.
Mm-hmm.
Bootstrap Bill, who's Will Turner's dad, which we'll get to, he gave something of value to his son, and threw him on a merchant vessel and was like, "Get out of here, go save yourself."
Yeah.
Right? Here's this, take it with you, get it out, because these assholes stole us gold and they, committed a mutiny, or they did these bad acts, and they should be punished for it.
Okay.
He's like, so take this, leave, curse us forever.
Yeah.
Get lost, essentially. Go save yourself, let us rot, that's what we deserve.
Mm-hmm.
The pirates didn't take too kindly to that.
They were just like, the fuck you doing?
Yeah, and so they found the vessel, and they nuked it, essentially.
Nice.
And here he is.
Okay.
And so he barely survives, essentially, from the blasts. And so, it's just like, oh shit, man, overboard! Let's see, yeah. And so they're like, holy shit, there's a kid over there. Grab him, bring him to safety. What the hell happened? And then we get this epic shot of essentially what the Black Pearl could do to a merchant vessel. And so they immediately start wondering, like, what the hell happened? And they come out to see this image of a ship on fire. Now, one of the things I can appreciate is that actually looks pretty practical. Like, practical effects.
Yeah.
Like, that's not CG.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, that would have been CG.
Oh, sure.
I can appreciate an actual ship sitting there on fire.
Well, the thing is, like, even if it is CG, you could kind of, like, hide it behind, like, the smoke and the fire.
Yeah, but, like, I'm fairly positive that
They reconstructed a pirate ship just to smash it and set it on fire.
they'll do that. I know
They will do that.
I know they actually were on. I think sometimes it was a fake deck, sometimes it was a real deck.
Mm-hmm.
Of ships though, but they actually were on deck ships. But nowadays, I reckon more than likely they're going to be on green screen ships.
Yeah.
And running around on basically a plank of wood.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the problems that I have with modern day technology is we've accelerated so far to where, the only thing that is not animated on the set sometimes is the actors themselves.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of
And
time.
sometimes they are animated.
Yeah, look at freaking Luke Skywalker.
Oh, yeah.
In the did you see the Mandalorian season 3 episodes?
It's just like, ugh.
Where they CG'd him. They did it better, by the way. In fact, it's so good. It's Uncanny Valley sort of.
Yeah, where
because
it looks humanish.
Yes, well, it looks a lot like Mark Hamill. It looks really good. The problem is the audio, his voice. The first time you hear it, you're like, wow, that's actually pretty good. But the more you listen to it, the more you're like, oh, that's a robot.
That's like a ghost in a shell kind of thing.
Exactly. It's exactly like that. You're like, oh, this is not real. What I don't like is that it took me 2 or 3 watches to notice that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you really have to pay attention to it to notice it, but it's creepy.
I'm just saying.
But yeah, I can appreciate the practical element of that.
Yeah.
And he gives a good explanation. He's like, it was more likely a powder magazine. Merchant vessels run heavily armed, which means an accident could have happened. He was like, it was probably an accident, but Gibbs is gonna be fucking Gibbs, and he's like, bullshit.
Oh yeah, just audience. Just so you know, I don't know if this is an interesting fact to you, but that's why gun clips are often called magazines, because a magazine is the room of a ship where you keep your gunpowder.
The more you know.
Just a little fact.
Little facts. Gibbs obviously jumps to the conclusion like, nah, man, these are cursed pirates.
These are cursed pirates.
We got a woman on board. She was singing a shanty, and now we have a destroyed merchant vessel. It's got to be pirates.
They sent fire from the heavens to nuke these ships.
Yeah. I'm telling you, they sent the aliens to come down and destroy this merchant vessel, and that's why we got this kid. This kid's actually probably been probed by the aliens to go and tell us some shit.
These pirates have the Abrahamic God on their side. They're sending faceless angels with 7 wings.
You gotta love Alex Jones sometimes. Like it's.
God, I love the idea of Alex Jones.
It is very entertaining to watch. What's also like.
I love the idea of an insanely unhinged man with a huge audience.
Yes. What I think is even more funny is that a lot of the stuff that... Now, this is going into other terms, but the funny thing is, what I find hilarious is when I look at Alex Jones, I'm like, yes, this is an unhinged man that's gone off the deep end. What I get a crack out of is when he's ever right. Yeah. Because people can't handle that. They're like, this is a crazy man. Like, but he was right about a few things.
It's like, what's that saying? It's like a broken clock is right twice a day.
Exactly. You're like, it's so funny because, conspiracy theories, like he throws them all out there. Let me adjust this output a little bit. But he throws out, conspiracy theories here and there, all this crazy stuff. But then he's right, like, a good handful of the time, and they're like, I don't know, like, you're crazy, but what?
Listen, I'm just saying, like, people can be crazy and still get shit right. So, like, two things can be true at the same time. Like, Alex Jones is a fucking moronic, insane lunatic.
Yes.
Alex Jones, I don't know, I haven't watched the show, so I don't know what he's right on. But, I mean, statistically speaking, like, based on pure numbers, he was bound to be right about something at least once.
Right. Exactly. But anyway, Alex Jones obviously jumps to the conclusion that it was pirates.
Sure.
See, there's no proof of that. Probably an accident, all that stuff. And then right here, where he says, rouse the captain. I was like, oh, so he's not the captain.
Did they just leave that dude on the ship?
They did. They brought him. Well, I mean,
they brought him on board and just dropped him.
They just saw a ship on fire.
Well, yeah,
that's a bit of a big deal.
I mean, yeah,
they sent him down, and then it gives us like, holy shit, and everybody's like, what? And they rush over and they're like, yeah, that's a ship on fire.
They didn't leave one guy behind and just like take him to a room and like give him CPR or something.
Well, I mean, well, Norrington said he's still breathing. See, they cover their tracks.
Yeah, okay, I mean, fair, sure. But that's the thing, it was like, it seems weird. It was like, well, yeah, they just saw a ship on fire. I was like, yeah, and then they immediately dismissed it as a powder magazine accident.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe it's not.
Let's see.
I can't tell if they're treating this like a big deal or not.
Well, yeah, they immediately like start sending shit out to go and rescue. They basically initiate a search and rescue operation. Yeah. And then governor's like, hey, do something that way you don't see any burning bodies. Go and watch over this kid.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's cute and you might like him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I always liked this dude right here.
The guy with the Neo, like the Captain Morgan pose. Yeah. That's the original Captain Morgan.
Yeah. He went over there, discovered a rum bottle, added a couple of spices, and then started selling it.
He's just like, he found like a rum barrel, and he was just like, I don't know, could use something more.
Could use some added, like...
Yeah. And then he became a pirate of rum.
Dude, I would fanfic the hell out of that.
I would like help fund a Pirates of the Caribbean movie where Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow meets Captain Morgan.
It's like, I'm a fan of your work.
Like, you make rum. You want to be best friends?
Anyway, I always appreciated that. And so, kid obviously just experienced a near-death experience. Yeah. And so he wigs the fuck out when she, like, hangs out. So, names are then established. And she's like, I'm watching over you. Now, we've already established she's a fan of pirates, right?
Yeah.
She's into that shit. And so, she does a little digging, because she sees, obviously, a necklace. And
sick necklace.
It's a pirate necklace. I mean, look at that. You can't get more pirate than that.
Wow.
You look at that and you're like, yeah, that screams pirate to me. Which is funny because it's not actually a pirate necklace.
Well, no, it's not.
But she looks at that and she's like, yeah, that's.
You see, it's like skull and crossbones. The Jolly Roger.
Yes,
blah,
exactly,
blah.
exactly. A piece of gold, a gold doubloon, as it were.
Well, like parallels and motifs.
Exactly, and so. With her and what she's probably read in books, she's like, oh yes, they collect gold. They have skulls on all their shit. She's like, she can put two and two together and be like, yes, pirate. I mean, I don't think she would
toss him overboard.
Make him walk the plank. And there was one nitpick that she does that kind of bugs me in this scene, which is when she turns to go see or to hide the necklace, it breaks off way too easily. I'm pretty sure it was unhooked and she just dragged it away.
Yeah.
Like you can tell with this quick scene, because she immediately puts two and two together. You're a pirate. Norrington asks right off the cuff, "Hey, has he said anything? Is he awake?" And she's like, "Oh shit." She goes to hide it, but it just slips right off. Like it was already off.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a bit much. She hides it, and she's like, I like how she says, "That's all I found out." I haven't found out that he's a pirate.
I know. It's like...
He's totally not a pirate. He's a blacksmith.
He works with this guy called Sauron or something.
Oh, that was the funniest shit. And then the good symbolism holds up the medallion, right? The music is swelling. It's starting to get pretty eerie, right? Yeah. And then boom, fucking cursed pirate ship with the Jolly Roger. It's like, wow, damn. Alex Jones is right.
Okay, I love this meme that we've just made with Gibbs is Alex Jones.
We need to get Gibbs and put Alex Jones' face.
Just put Alex Jones and just just dub in some lines.
Yeah. I tell you, it's bad luck to have a woman on board, even a miniature one.
I was like, these cursed pirates turning the fucking frogs gay.
But yeah, like I said, the worst part of it is like she's experienced a lot. Boom, person washes ashore who's in danger. Turns out he could be a pirate. This ship just got blown the fuck up. Holy fuck, there's a cursed pirate ship. There's a lot happening at once.
Okay, so you said this was about 10 years, and they're already cursed.
Exactly.
Okay, so that...
Because of the little gold.
Did Barbossa ever give, like, an actual, like, number to how long they've been cursed?
Yes, 10 years.
10 years? Okay, so this is probably, like, a little less than that.
This is 10 years ago. I believe she's, like, 10 or 11. She's supposed to be really, really young.
She's actually, like, I don't know, I want to say, like, 20-ish?
She's supposed to be, yeah.
So she's, like, 10-ish right now?
Yeah, she's supposed to be, like, 10.
So that's the thing, it was, like, they had the Aztec gold. They spent it on shit. And then they sort of, like, at one point realized... Holy fuck! The moonlight
there's
decays my body.
There's an awesome monologue that Barbossa gives that basically explains all that.
Yeah.
The line that you're looking for in particular, because I've watched this movie way too many times. I love this movie. I almost know the script back to front. But he's the line that you're looking for is the more we spent, the more we came to realize. The food did not fill our hunger or something. The drink did not quench our thirst, and all of the women in the world could not slick our lust. And he was like, he was like the more we spend, the more we realize, oh shit, this is cursed.
Yeah.
Basically.
So now he's just like.
So they...
Okay, he's gunning for these medallions or coins.
Yes.
He's gunning for these coins.
Yes.
And that's just what I'm thinking. Is
because
just like,
it's fucking, like, 800-something pieces. It's like, it's a lot of them.
That's the thing. That's the thing is that, like, these movies where, like, the plot is just, like, loosely, like, held together by convenience. And I'm just like, dude, you're lucky no one, like, dropped one in the sand.
Yes,
or,
yes.
Like, you're lucky no one, like, accidentally, like, slipped out of their hand into the ocean.
That is one of the biggest conveniences of the show. Honestly,
that, like, out of all 800 coins that you spent across all of these islands across the Caribbean.
It's like 882. I know it's some 182.
It's in the high hundreds, like closing in on 1,000. We're just like, dude, you are lucky that not a single coin got like dropped into sand or like fell into the ocean. How many Aztecs died of pox? Pieces
are in Pirates of...
Man, it's that gold. Yeah,
882. I was right!
On the money, dude.
I was fucking right.
Yeah.
I've watched this too much.
882
Because
points.
yeah, because it's a line. He's like, all 882 identical pieces.
I was like, you remember the exact amount?
Dude, I'm a fucking baller when it comes to numbers. In
Yeah.
Star Wars, fucking Leia's in cell block 1138, and the trash compactor they're in is, what is it, 3263827. I know this shit for
Do
some
you
reason.
think those numbers have any metaphorical significance?
1138 is George Lucas's favorite number, which is one of the reasons.
1138.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why he included it. From what I've been told, in fact, I think one of his documentaries is called 1138.
What's the history?
I'm not sure on that
'Cause
one.
it sounds like a date.
Yeah, I just know that the trivia is that it's his favorite number. I don't know. I mean,
He's
the Nazis invaded Poland.
He's just a really big fan of D-Day.
yeah, but
It's a shame those American soldiers had to die on that beach for our sins.
you know, my favorite number is 1179. I never actually looked up anything that happened in November of '79. I should look that up.
Go
See
ahead.
what trivia happens.
Yeah.
I'll look it up some other time. But anyway, yeah. So she sees a fucking cursed, like it's got the holes in everything in the Jolly Roger. Like you can't get more cursed than that.
Yeah.
Black sails, black ship, black everywhere. No, but like yeah, it's cursed ship, and zoom in the classic Jolly Roger, and then slap cut 20 years later. There's your premise. As someone who probably grew up watching like 101 Dalmatians, and you know Aristocats, you would go into this movie and you're like, what the fuck? I thought this was a Disney movie. Like, holy shit, this is eerie as fuck. I mean, like I said, as far as Disney goes, like for this time, it's pretty eerie.
You know what's funny? I mean, this is a little bit backwards, but
No, you're fine.
when I was a kid, I was starting to get like get like social media. My mom really made them for me, but like like a Facebook site.
Yes,
and shit.
same
But,
thing
like,
happened
yeah,
with me.
exactly.
That's why I'm like 29 apparently on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I am apparently 30 years old.
You look it.
According to Facebook. Oh yeah, like dude, like where's the camera at?
There we go. Right here.
Look.
The
Like
video.
facial scars, stress, that shit ages you rapidly.
Very, very much so.
It's like like my eyes are like dimmer than they were when I was 18.
See, look the difference.
Yeah.
Atheist, Christian.
Remember, believe in God, or He will literally suck the life and youth out of you. He will sap it out of your skin. That's like
Casual sex marriage. No.
and that's one of the curses of Egypt that like Moses sent down.
All the non-believers.
We're going to kill the firstborn son, and the lastborn son, we're just gonna make him like die early.
It's so like nonchalant. It's like the firstborn son we will murder. The secondborn son, he could just die early.
That was the unheard of 11th plague of Egypt. The lastborn son will die in like, I don't know, 40 years.
Oh, that's funny.
But anyway, what was I just talking about?
Something.
Oh yeah, numbers.
Right.
Hilariously enough, one of the numbers that I like used for like an email or something was when I was a kid, and this was like 5 years before I met you.
Okay. Wow.
It was 2629. 26 February 6th. Your birthday.
What the fuck?
I have no idea.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. When you said 2-6, I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That's
I was-
crazy. It was
like-
it was destiny, Riley. It
Yeah.
was God.
Truly, this is.
You
these
should have
are-
been like, "What's your birthday?" And I'm like, 2-6, and you're like, "All right."
You know what? 99 coincidences I was willing
You know
to let
what, we
slide,
need-
but
we-
this makes the 100th.
Which makes me worried about 2029 on my birthday.
I will. Let's see what happened in 1929.
Well, I mean,
2629.
the Great Depression.
Some parallels we're seeing.
Yeah. Oh, it's just gonna get worse from here.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up February 6th of 1929.
Yeah, sure. What do we got? Let's do a quick detour since we just finished the prologue.
Yeah.
Of the show. We're an hour in and we finished the prologue.
They don't give a shit about this movie.
Oh.
They're just here for our charming personalities.
Absolutely. And our decent breakdowns.
Yeah. I mean, also, I could have sworn she had like blue eyes.
Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Huh.
That was another one.
Good God. Ain't shit happened on February 6th, 1929. Apparently, Rudy Valley Records. Rudy. I don't know.
So maybe it's 2029 that we need to look forward to.
Yeah, 2029 is the year.
It's gonna be the year.
That's gonna be like.
It's gonna be the year.
Just another like 20-minute rant that we're gonna go on. Did
Sure.
you ever see the movie with Nick Cage? It was like, I'm trying to remember the title, but it was basically like he was an atheist and he had a son, and he like discovered like this old piece of paper that was put in a time capsule like 50 years ago, and it was written by like this like oracle, like this child. She was like an oracle and she could see the future, so she literally like as a school project just wrote down like a bunch of dates and numbers and put it in a time capsule for future generations to see. And I was just like, okay, if you're going to write down dates and warn people of the future, perhaps don't bury it underground.
And perhaps maybe elaborate on what those dates signify.
I don't know. She was just like an insane kid who was just like, I gotta write down all these dates and events.
It's like the numbers, Mason. What do they mean?
Basically, I have no.
Or the fucking that the lottery numbers from Lost.
Yeah.
Which turned out really not. I mean, it signified. That was my problem with Lost. Is like, I agree with a lot of people where they say the big problem with J.J. Abrams is he can set up a good mystery, but he just can't resolve it.
Yeah.
Because like. That was the big hook in Lost, was like, this island is not normal. But by the end of it, you're like, why am I still watching this? They're off the island. This is dumb.
Yeah. There was a whole season where they were like, went back in time for some shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a thing.
I can't remember the title of the Nick Cage movie, but basically, he has a sheet of paper with a bunch of dates and events of things that are going to happen. So he's just like, that's why 2629 like brought that up to me, because I was like, what if I'm like Nick Cage?
Yeah, interesting.
Just like,
that would be interesting. But anyway, so she wakes up from. So apparently this was all a dream in her head. Was it she dreamed about the past?
Yeah.
Which to me doesn't happen all that often. I don't know about you, but I don't usually dream about my history. Like, it's normally just about seeing some random shit or whatever's going on in my mind.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's fine. One of the things is that she still has the cupboard right here, like, boom. And what I like is that it's very dusted. Like, she hasn't worn this in a while. But I guess because she had the dream, she's like, is it still there? Like, is it still a thing? Does it still exist?
It's so cursed that it talks to you in your sleep.
Basically. And then she removes it, and it even has like a shadow or
like a dust. Yeah, gotcha.
So good detail on that.
Yeah,
it definitely makes it look like it was meant to be there, or it's been there for a while. So I do like that touch. And the cool thing is that it's so simple. You can really just set it in there, get dust from a dustpan, dump it on there, and then boom, you're done.
Yeah,
let it sit for maybe an hour.
That's exactly what they did.
That's
probably just like set it on the drawer and then just took some dust and just sprinkled it on.
It's like you don't need a whole lot of effort, but it says so much.
Actually, that dust is green screened in. That's CGI dust.
It's CGI dust, yes. In today's Disney standards, yes, that would make sense. And so, yeah, she still has it. She's still kind of infatuated with pirates and the mystery that they hold. And the mystery of this, because that was a big moment in her life. And I do find it funny that the chain is long enough just to sit below so she could hide it if she wanted to.
Yeah.
So that's
just long enough to like sit snug between her tits.
Right where it needs to be.
God.
And he's like, Elizabeth, are you there? Are you alright? Are you decent? So, immediately shoves it in, boom. Now, obviously, this is green screen. It's hard to believe that would be real. But, for early 2000s, that's not bad.
I mean, I mean, nowadays that is clearly green screen.
Nowadays, that is a clear green screen.
Yeah.
They have a big ass light up here shining down that they cut on when they open up the windows.
That's the thing, is like you can tell because it's like the background and the foreground are two different like definitions.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And sometimes the panning is a little choppy. It's not perfect. But I do like this. He brings the dress out, but he claims originally he's like, and I like the dialogue too, where he's like, it's dialogue of the time. Does a father need an occasion to dote upon his daughter? Like it's good dialogue, good, well written. It's not like,
it's also probably of his social standing.
Right. It's not like, oh, he's not like, I got it for you, bitch.
Sup, girl? Got you some new threads.
Right. It's dialogue of the time, but the cool thing is that yes, she's smart enough to understand, like, hey, look, you don't give me gifts on every day, or every day. What's up? And at first he's like, oh no, I just got it for you. Also, you want to like marry Norrington? Essentially.
You want to like get pregnant and give me a grandkid?
Please, I'm getting old. My wig.
Is it ever explained what happened to his wife or Elizabeth's mom?
No, not that I'm aware of. Not in this movie, but to my knowledge, it wasn't. It didn't matter in the plot. They didn't need to develop him further than he has been. So they're like father figure, and that's another thing. I do like that we have a positive father figure.
Yeah.
Because.
And so what if he has freaky three-ways with those handmaids?
Yeah, so what? He's lonely.
Yeah. He's a widower. He's raising a daughter by himself in this probably 6,000 square foot mansion.
That costs like 30 shillings.
Mm-hmm. Which is like 13 million today's money.
I mean, now, I can't remember how much I'm not gonna look it up, but it shows that, for one thing. I do like this beginning scenes, because especially the conversation between her and Will, because I love the dialogue in this movie, because the dialogue for the characters is tight. There's no real breaks in their character. They're all smart and they all make logical sense.
Yeah.
In their setup, like, because she's smart enough to say, hey, you get this for me. You don't get dresses for me all the time. What's the occasion? And he's like, no, there's no occasion, but there is an occasion that you saw right through me, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, oh, and she's like excited about it. And then they go to set it up, and then he's like, actually, I did get this for you. Wear it to the ceremony. And so he became a captain, and now he's becoming a commodore. So I think it adds to Norrington. We're like, okay, so he was as ambitious as we saw him in the beginning.
He's a well-respected member of the military.
Yeah, he's gone up from Navy. Captain, and now he's going to be a commodore.
Also,
which is exciting.
I don't know like how far apart those ranks are, but the man spent 10 years getting to commodore.
Yeah. So congrats to him. And they do a little setup here, talking about how tight. It's played off as a joke here, and it has a little payoff towards the end, which the payoff didn't really. It's probably one of the weaker payoffs of the show for certain. I don't think, like, I always thought this was a funny joke. It's so tight, like you essentially can't breathe. And this scene here, I think this stuff is beautiful. I'm going to debate whether or not to take away the overlay for some of these expressions, but. So, set up, women in London must learn how to breathe because this corset's so damn tight.
Yeah.
Funny joke. Cuts to a young man who obviously holds himself in a high stature carrying a sword, or he holds himself proper, right? Stoic.
Well, he's a friend of the governor's daughter.
Yes.
Or, I don't know.
Acquaintance at this point.
Yeah, at this point, he's just like, hey, I've been friends with your daughter for a long time, and I'm like a blacksmith. And I make you swords.
Yeah, because that's
they have a relationship.
And the thing is like from a viewer's perspective, right now we just know someone's waiting for Norrington. We don't know who it is. We don't know any information about him. We just know it's some guy. So from what we gather, boom, we see that he is he's a man, holds himself in in a good stature. He's a good, or he's a stoic gentleman, or tries to hold himself as such, walking around. And then, from my guess is that, he thinks, oh, this is the governor's house. This is what I always thought of, was he was like, I wonder if he has any secret layers or secret entrances, like a lever or something. And this candlestick over here looks particularly weak. And he's like, I wonder if this is a secret cupboard, and it just breaks off. And he's like, fuck. How could I have foreseen this?
He's like, this is a very nice, spacious house, and a very precisely placed candelabra. I wonder what door will open if I...
The thing is, it's not even quiet. It's like, and he's like, shit. Like, that was loud. And the guy shows up, or he looks over, he's like, fuck, he's like, hide. Looks over to the guy, he's like, oh, hey, hi. Hey, how's it going? Hi. And this whole scene right here.
That was the candelabra you
yes.
needed to pull.
Yes, it was this one over here.
Yeah,
and
you got the wrong one.
Accesses the door right here in between the pillars, and then it opens up into a basement where you have the governor's sex dungeon with the two maids.
With the two maids. See, I don't know how much handmaidens got paid in these days, but those two got paid extra.
Another good thing about this is this whole area in the movie, because we come into this building again.
Mm-hmm.
This does do a very low standard setup where you basically get the idea and the layout of the house. Like, you get a layout, you're like, okay, up the stairs, that's where Elizabeth's bedroom is, and this is where the living room is and all that jazz. Some stuff back here, front door's right there. It gives you a basic layout, because when the pirates come, they come and assault this building, and so the thing that I like is where the characters are placed is where they would naturally be placed.
Yeah.
Which is something that doesn't happen nowadays, which is unfortunate. But I love the dialogue in these scenes, and I think it's fantastic. Something I'd love to go over. There's a video. I don't know if you've seen it. It's hidden, not the it's something like the hidden genius of the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I don't know if you've seen it. No. It's like a 50-minute video of this guy breaking down particular scenes in Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's a fantastic video, because
you just reminded me of a video that's been on like my watch later, like playlist for like probably like 6 months now.
Oh yeah.
It's a video. It's like a video about Oblivion, but it's like a deep dive analysis.
Let's see.
It's 12 hours long.
Jesus. That's easy.
Yeah. Honestly, I spend 12 hours taking a shit most days. You really can't spend that much time being entertained.
Let's see. Yeah. Accidentally Genius. Pirates of the Caribbean. It's a 53
I don't think
minute.
it's accidentally genius.
Yeah. But it's a fantastic movie. Anyway, or a fantastic video, and he breaks that down. But he's like, Mr. Turner, nice to see you again. So boom, we know, oh, this is Will. Will is now an adult, and he's looking great. Good to see you again. They've met before, or they've talked before. I have your order. Boom, beautiful sword. And we can gather from that, okay, yeah, he's a blacksmith. Or more than likely, he makes swords, or something like that. He says, fold. He gives you all the information about the sword. Mm-hmm. There's gold. He's using specific terms. It's folded steel. There's gold filigree that's in the handle. So he's giving him all the run-ups. I wish he would have mentioned what kind of steel it was. That would have been nice. But
probably would have just been some high carbon stuff.
Yeah. He's like, allow me, perfectly balanced. And I love this shot, because if you know anything about swords, you know that right there. Let's see if I can. That right there is impressive. Normally, or at least to my mind, a sword's point of balance normally is about 4 inches from the blade, so it would be normally down over here.
Mm-hmm.
or even sometimes worse, which you wouldn't want. So normally it's around this area, but his balance point is more like right here, which is way closer to the handle, which for a cutlass or a commander's sword, that's exactly where you'd want it to be. You want it to
My
be...
problem with this scene is what's up?
I thought you just said cutlass.
I did say cutlass.
No, cutlass.
Oh, cuntless.
That cuntless bitch.
But the real balance point for this cutlass.
Can you get us some bears by any chance?
I gotta figure out where Jason's gonna sleep.
Oh,
Is
okay.
Jay staying in the night? Okay.
It'll be fine. You can sleep on the floor.
Fuck that dude.
But anyway, the point of balance is right here, which is good because for a cutlass, you would want it to be as close to the handle as possible.
See, I did have one complaint, is that he's balancing it on 2 horizontal fingers instead of like the vertical to get like the real.
Right, to get the real point of balance.
Yeah.
I agree.
Didn't say no.
What?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Lovey.
All right, second beer's in. Let's go. Nice. To this great scene. And he's like,
now
the
your
tang.
sheets are gonna smell like beer.
That's fine. The tang is nearly the width of the blade, which is exactly what you want. Is nearly the width of the blade. It actually doesn't make sense. Tang is nearly the width of the blade. Oh, like the actual width. Okay, gotcha.
He's probably talking about. Like,
I was thinking length.
he's probably talking about like the distal.
Yeah, the actual width. But
the width, yeah.
But it's very close, which is good. And then he's like, let me flex a little bit, you know.
For those who don't.
Flop, flop, flop. Woo. Shit.
For those who don't know, the tang is like the small piece of metal left over from the blade that actually goes and sticks into the handle.
Into the handle. Sometimes most high quality swords will have what's called a full tang, which is where it extends for either the majority or completely through the handle.
Yes.
Those are what are called full tang swords. Those are the ones I particularly enjoy, just because I like to know that it's. Honestly, it's just something that I favor. I just like the fact that it goes all the way down.
If you don't have a full tang, you basically almost entirely like depend on glue to hold it together.
Yeah,
which that's just cutting cost, and it's
yeah,
you're relying on the glue,
right,
rather than a hammered piece of metal that's stuck into the blade.
Right, and so now we have been given the image that that Will Turner, obviously pretty impressive with a sword. He can flip it around. He can do some cool stuff. Like he did it perfectly. And so
at this scene, that governor's nose just falls off.
But so we now know that Will's actually pretty skilled with a blade for as far as we know. And then I like this because he's like, sure, this is he says Commodore Norring is going to be pleased with this. We know now the Commodore ordered this or the governor ordered this for the Commodore, so we know that this is supposed to be Norrington's sword. Will made it for Norrington.
Yeah.
So we now know who the sword's going to. It's all specific and it's all kept within our few characters that we know, which is what I like. It's not branching out. It's not like, oh, thanks for giving me this to X character. That's kind of a throwaway line.
Yeah.
This is not a throwaway, this was not a throwaway sword to just give to show that Will was a blacksmith. This sword was going to a main character that we know.
Yeah.
And then I like this, where he goes, do pass my compliments on to your master. Which basically, if you're looking at it from Will's perspective, right? When someone's, because he's saying, pass my compliments on to your master. When we look at the master's kind of a drunken fool.
Yeah.
So we can gather, this sword was made by Will.
Yeah.
But he's not getting the credit for it.
I see.
The credit is going to his master. And so I love this little bit of acting. I want to take away our thing just so you can see Will's expression when he looks up, and it's like
sad boy eyes.
It's sad, but he goes, I shall. Like, you can see, like, he's trying to be happy, but there's
a pained smile.
That is a pained smile, because he's like, I put hours into making this the best sword possible, and I'm not getting the credit for it. Because you saw how happy he was.
Yeah.
Not but 20 seconds ago.
Although what's up?
I might have to make a little noise.
Okay, that's fine. But because when he's talking about the sword right here, you can see like he's ready to be impressive. He's ready to show you your shit. And when he's like, I have your order. Like, you can see right here. Look how happy he is to show him the blade, right? To show him the sword that he's made. but when we cut ahead, like
Look, it's in the eyebrows.
it's in the eyebrows. Like
He's
it's
just like-
it's such a pain. He's like, I put so much effort into this, and all he can come out with is "I shall." I think it's a very impactful line because
Yeah.
he's not just saying, "Oh yeah, I shall." Like, "Oh yeah, no problem." It's like, this is my sword, and I'm not getting the credit for it.
What I always wondered is why didn't he just take credit for it? Why didn't he just go like, actually, I made this
Exactly, because the thing is that it's his place. He is just a lowly blacksmith trainee. He's not the master. He's not the blacksmith master. The credits for he's known kind of as an assistant in the hierarchy of things. It's like looking at, how would I put it? It's like, imagine, you're let's say you're building a small house. You have the architect, right?
Yeah.
Or you have the let's say you're making a brick wall. You have a brick master, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the guys that actually built the brick. Well, let's say your brick master was just a drunken fool who just sat in the back and drowned himself in booze all day, right?
Yeah.
And then you actually had your workers that built the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy, the guy that bought the wall comes up to you and he's like, "Hey, pass the compliments on to your master for me. Tell him that I think he did a great job." It's like, bitch, no the fuck you didn't.
I would have been like, dude, fuck you.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I made this.
The thing
I made this wall. I made this sword.
The thing is that the governor, because you have to remember, this is also in, I can't remember, I think like the 1750s.
Yeah.
Like 1700s, right? So, if he tries to take the credit for it, it's not his place. Because everybody has a status in the hierarchy.
I just took it as the governor didn't know.
Yes, he doesn't exactly, because it's both. Because
Yeah.
if he tries to correct the governor, then he's correcting the governor.
Right.
It's not his. He's literally like the lowest tier of, or one of the lower tiers of civilians.
Is being a laborer like low tier?
And as far as this place is concerned, because literally, you
he's not a serf.
Yes, but also you have in the movie there are several scenes and references where they look at Will and they say, "Know your place." Like, this is not your place to speak up about this. It's not. That's one of the arcs that Will goes on, is what is his place in this world, and this is what kind of initiates it. Is he's like, I can't speak up because, for one thing, the master could probably kick the shit out of me if I told him that I made this sword, even though I work for the guy and I do all this shit for him, But he's like, I made this, but I can't take credit for it because the name and credibility goes with the blacksmith leader, I suppose you could say.
Sure.
He's the one that takes credit for the projects, even though he wasn't the laborer that put it through. And so that's why I find this scene pretty impactful, because it jumpstarts his arc.
Yeah.
Saying, like, this is about what Will goes on in this world is figuring out where his place is and what he's meant to do.
That face alone, though, is excellent acting.
Excellent
You can
acting.
really see the pain behind his eyes.
Because you could have easily passed it off of, just a happy smile, I shall. But instead, he takes a second. It's just a quick second where he looks up with that, and then he cocks the eyebrows first, and then he tries to smile. So he's like, right? Let's see. He takes a fool with the blade. Oh, yeah, we'll get past this part real quick. Maybe I went too far.
No, it's
Yeah, right
Yeah.
there, right there. He takes a second. Let me see if I can get it right. Where he's like, that's it. Like, he's like, Commodore Norton's gonna be very pleased with that. Hold on, let's see if I can get that. That was a good shot. So this will be a good contrast. Let's see. So slides it. This is the scene that I really want to talk about. I love this whole interaction. So you have this smile, of satisfactory, like
effort and hard work paid off. Someone is giving you compliments on your craftsmanship.
Yeah, and then immediately contrasted with, "Do pass my compliments on your master," right? And so he looks up, like, questioning, and he's like, eyebrows, right there.
The split second before he tries to smile.
Yep, and then smile. And it's just, it's all you need, and you can draw so much from that, from his character. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love it wholeheartedly. Like it's great direction and it's great performance, right? And then he says this: a craftsman is always pleased to hear his work is appreciated, which eggs on it even more.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to speak for his master, but he's really talking about himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the duality, and that's what I think really hammers it home is that line, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like if the governor knew that he made the sword, I'm sure he
would
would
have
have just been like, "Hey, you did a great job."
Yeah, but it's exactly, and so he's stuck with this area of like, because you see him when he talks to Elizabeth, he calls her Miss Swan, even though she tells him to call him Elizabeth.
Right.
And he's like, and he calls her Miss Swan again because he's like, this is my place. I can't speak up about this.
Yeah.
I have my place, because in a sense, Will honestly also kind of looks down on himself. Because he's only a lowly blacksmith.
This is why piracy is so appealing.
Yeah, it's better than being a blacksmith. Yeah. Yeah, work is appreciated, right? And then we have this scene where Will looks up, and just to get a quick look at his acting of them both being stunned to see Elizabeth in her new dress.
Yes.
As she walks down. Their dialogue...
Her dress that looks like actual fucking curtains. Like, that is straight up... She looks like a swan boat.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Swan boat.
And I mean, I'm not a big fan of beige, and this is like all beige. So it's just like, eh.
Do you know where our big gray blanket is?
No, I don't know.
Did we
not
put
sure.
it in the tote?
We might have.
This is like gray with hints of like dandelion yellow.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of two colors that don't complement each other.
But yeah, he says she looks stunning. Well, I mean, the governor did pick it out, so you know he might not have the best taste.
He probably does. I'm sure she would have done a better job.
And she's excited to see Will. She calls him Will, so she calls him on a first name instead of Mr. Turner, like the governor said.
I don't know. I feel like if you
Hello.
I can't reach the toast.
you can't reach the toast.
Did you get? The,
Oh my god! I thought
did you
you.
get the step stool.
I thought you said toast.
It
You
requires.
just don't want to help your wife?
No,
See how
it requires. I have to use the step stool.
To get the totes out of the laundry room?
Yes.
Fine.
Listen,
Fuck,
okay.
I'll do it.
No, Riley, you're
No,
short.
stay.
You don't have to get a step stool anyway.
Guess I'll just fucking do it all by myself.
I love you.
Yeah, damn right. know your
Fucking better.
know your
Carry
place.
this relationship.
Know your place.
But
Blacksmith.
but so she calls Will. So she considers them to be on a first name basis. Governor called him Mr. Turner, right? And he's like, oh shit. You know.
Since you insisted, here's the step stool.
Oh, thank you, Riley. I would say carry this.
Now you can
this
help.
situation
No.
for me. Right here.
No, I'm gonna stay right the fuck here.
Thanks.
You want a seat though?
No, I'm good. No. But thanks.
No problem. Oh my god. Let's take a good quick look at those sad, doughy eyes. Those little fucking beta male got cucked by a black man eyes. Let's take a look. Right here. Alright, let's get rid of this overlay. Window capture desktop image. Where the fuck is the overlay? Get rid of that shit. I want to see these beta male cucked by a black man eyes yet again.
Hey, what about a black man? Oh, you want to bring it back up?
There it is.
Dude, I can't, like, there's so much emphasis on this one spot. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a small part of the whole movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's still so significant as far as acting goes. Like, it's an incredible piece.
Dude, that's the face you make when a girl that you like tells you, like, another dude's dick is better than yours.
Or that she's interested in another
Yeah,
man, and you're just like, what? What?
I thought we had something.
Yeah, I thought we had something special. And so she comes down, and he's like, and the father, of course, is saying, you look great. Will's just flabbergasted by...
A lot of beige, a lot of yellow. He just came in his pants. He's actually into it. He's into the cuckhood.
Yeah, but he's looking at her with dreamy eyes, right? Coming down. And then, boom, immediately, because she's fascinated with this whole situation, she grabbed the medallion and all this shit. She's like, yo, I straight up had a dream of you last night. Right? And then Will is fucking surprised. He's like, about me? He's just like, and then immediately, boom, like I was saying, she comes in, totally informal. She's like, yo, Will, homie, I actually had a dream about you last night. Guess what we fucking...
You were dicking me down real hard.
No, but she calls him on the first name. She rushes downstairs, immediately picks up this like improper conversation talking about like dreams and random shit, right? Nothing cordial or whatever, or what's the weather we're having, that sort of shit.
Yeah.
She immediately jumps into this dream, and so the dad is like, is that proper for you to like bring up? He's basically saying, this isn't very ladylike, ma'am. And she immediately cuts him off, and she's like, about the day we met, do you remember? And so she immediately cuts him out, and that shows her personality, right? She's like, no, I want to have this conversation, even though. And it shows the dad, because the dad is all about being proper and having high etiquette. He's trying to teach that to his daughter. And Will obviously respects that because he tries to keep it equally cordial.
Yeah.
She kicks open the fucking door and she's like, yo, Will, what's up, homie? I had a dream about you the other night. And he's like, fuck, what? Okay. We're having this conversation. And about the day we met. She's like, do you remember? And he's like, how could I forget? And he calls her Miss Swan.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, this is, again, this is my place. You're above me, so I have to address you by the last name.
God, I wish she was above me.
And she says, how many times must I ask you to call me Elizabeth? Right? So they're obviously into each other.
Yeah.
By the acting and by the way that they've
God,
been.
look at that grin. Look at that. Yeah.
And she says, how many times must I ask you to call me Elizabeth? And then he hesitates because he wants to call her that. He says, at least once more, Miss Swan, as always. So he's like, believe me, I would love more than anything to call you Elizabeth. But
I want to call you a dirty whore in bed.
He's like, but at the same time, he's like, I'm in front of your dad. I can't be saying this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Can't be, spreading this kind of voodoo, right? Let's see if I can...
See, women are just bad luck, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Let's see I want to see if he looks at the dad when he says that. I'm not sure, though. It's fine either way, though. Because he's looking right at her. I don't think he eyes him. Yeah, no, he looks right at her. But still.
That would have been good, though. If he,
that would have been good if he darted his eyes,
yeah.
But it could work either way, because in this situation, he's like, he knows the dad is there, and he's looking at her, and he goes, I can't. As much as I want to, I can't call you Elizabeth, because this is not proper.
Him not breaking eye contact is
it works
good
too.
testament. It works too because he is truly like transfixed on this lady.
Yes, and he
this beige and yellow gray lady.
Because he also hesitates and he's like, I want to, but it's all about what's proper, and he's like, it's not proper for me to call you Elizabeth, and I can't. And so he's like, at least once more, Miss Swan, but he's trying to be sweet about it, right?
Yeah.
He's like, at least one more time. And she's fucking pissed about it. And then he goes, see, look, right here. He's like, at least the boy has a sense of propriety.
And she looks so exhausted.
She's like, Dad, shut the fuck up!
She's like, can I be treated like a fucking person once in this house?
Yeah, not only that, but look at how modest the dress is. It shows nothing.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I was like, I think she came out on an interview saying this, like, oh yeah, they basically had to paint my boobs just to make it look like I had them. It was like, yeah, because I basically
That's the face of painted boobs.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, because I'm rocking like an A cup, they basically had to like push everything together as much as they could, push everything up as much as they could, and even still they had to like put body paint on me just to make it look like I had tits to begin with.
But he says at least, well, to be fair, in the movie she is supposed to be 20, so she's not supposed to be that old. She's still fairly young. At least.
I don't think boob size has anything to do with age.
That's fair. I mean, there are some like middle school and high schoolers where you're just like, how the fuck? What?
Those are some 30-year-old tits.
You have napkins in there. But he hints at it again. Again, they're really showing everybody their place in the world. It's a good sense of world building through just character dialogue. It's like Will looks down on himself, but he has confidence. He just doesn't think he has a good career in this world, and he feels that he's a low character, and so he feels like the best thing to do is to at least hold himself to a high standard and meet the etiquette of those above him, right?
Yeah.
The governor agrees with this and thinks, Will, you're in a lower position, you're in a lower state in the economy, like you're not marriage material, no matter how cute you are. He's like, you're not a good, because back in the day, marriage was more about creating a family and joining two households together to basically create a greater sense of wealth. Yeah. He's like, you're not wealthy.
Nowadays, it has only gotten worse.
Yep. Marriage has gotten fucked these days. But he says, essentially, you have no real career. Blacksmithing doesn't make a whole lot of money. Yeah. There's no real reason for you to act this way. And he's like, at least he has a sense of propriety, and at least he knows his place. Yeah. He doesn't address you on a first name basis because he doesn't deserve to. And she's pissed about it, and so her feelings on the matter, and she's like, this is bullshit.
She's like, this is my friend.
Yeah, exactly. She looks at him as a friend. He looks at her as the governor's daughter.
I see, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing. That's tough, man.
Yeah.
Getting, I want to say you've been cucked by the economy.
That's a good line. Mm-hmm. It's a good bar.
Yeah.
It's a Pimp Daddy Purple bar right there. Yo, bitch, you've been cucked by the economy.
Poor Will.
Poor Will. And he's like, now we must be going. And then, boom, right here. God, look at it. Good day, Mr. Turner. And fucking slap back.
That was cold.
That was cold. And look at his face. He's just like...
He has, like, the saddest eyes I've ever seen on a man.
He's like... Because he ccame in here so confident. He's like, I built this badass sword, not getting credit for it, and the bitch hates me now. And he's like, fuck! It's just a bad situation all around. And he's like,
man, if only that
hurts. Like, you know what I mean?
Man, if only I could grow some fucking balls.
If only I could, like... If only there was a character that could really, bring out the best in me and make me live my best life. If only there was someone like that. And so...
he's gonna, like, strut in.
And they sit on that for, like, a good second. You know what I mean? Like, let's see if I can catch it.
In another universe, like, Will is just, like, he, like, struts in real hard. He's like, Will, I had a dream about you last night. And he's just like, yeah, I dream about you every night too, baby. And it's like Elizabeth's dad is just like, Will, what the fuck? And then he like slaps him. Shut up, little man. I wasn't fucking talking to you.
But yeah, he doesn't want to see her leave. And then this scene, like, she's so cold about it. Boom, good day, Mr. Turner. And it sits on there for a good second.
He like blinks too.
Yeah, he's stunned by it.
Yeah.
He's like, shit, you didn't, wow, because she's probably always addressed him by Will.
Yeah.
For the few times they've probably met. Mm-hmm. And so this one time he's just like, wow, like, fuck, I've thought about you every day, and now you're addressing me as a lowly man, and that hurts.
Yeah.
That's gotta hurt. And so, the governor says, come along, and then there's this good line right here. He says, good day, walks away, right? Elizabeth.
God, he creamed his jeans when he said Elizabeth.
He was
holding that in.
He was like, because it shows immediately, boom, they both like each other, but they have this sort of Romeo and Juliet situation where it's the families that are kind of drawing it apart. It's like, it's the
she belongs to a big wealthy family. He doesn't have one.
And it's like, oh man, what could we do to bring out the best in this man? What side character could unlock this man's full potential and bring him to be
Who is the Sigma male grind set that we need to turn this beta bitch around?
Boy, do I have the answer for you, my friend. Introducing one of the most legendary characters of all time.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's such a good slap cut because it makes you wonder, like, man, how could this guy, I want the guy to get the girl. How? Boom, let me introduce myself.
To Wingman Big Dick Sigmas Johnson.
But yes, introduction of the most legendary
My
character.
name is Captain Big Swingin' Sigma.
And the best thing is the music swells too, right? Like, because it makes you wonder, right? With a dump to the dump to the dump, right? The carts run, and then boom. Boom, boom, dun, dun, dun. Like the music, boom, comes in. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for this
Comes
shit.
in hard with his intro.
And boom, who's sailing into Port Royal? Because now we have the wide shot of it. Boom. This Giga Chad over here.
Yeah.
This absolute legend of a man. Jack fucking Sparrow.
Oh.
Wonderful man. No, and there's so much you can read about him just for the few minutes that he's in here.
This is a man who has no one to impress but himself.
He already looks impressed with himself, which is really funny when you look at the situation. Like, look at him. It looks like he's on top of the world. And the way that they structured this shot too, it looks like he's on top of like a galleon, right?
Oh yeah.
Looking off into the sunset, or not the sunset, but the area. He's like, I'm about to fuck all of the women.
Yeah.
Like,
He's like steely gaze on the crow's nest.
yeah.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Captain Jack Sparrow, ready to set ablaze and fuck up everything in his path. And then he looks down
blowing his hair and bandana.
Looks down and he's like, oh shit. And I love there's a little subtlety in there too, with Jack's shot right here that I wanted to highlight, which is when he looks down, he does a classic thing with his lip where he's just like, oh fuck. It's not his eyebrows, it's more of his lip. But he looks down and he gives kind of this oh fuck expression. Because right here he's like enjoying it. Looks down and then he just goes, yeah. and so if you're a in-depth viewer, you're like, why is he giving that expression? This man is on top of the world, literally. He's sailing on a frigate, kicking all kinds of ass, ready to slay Queen, right? Zips down, boom, water, and this fucking tiny dinghy.
This schooner.
This little schooner of a ship. Like, the most saddest thing. It completely contrasts from what the character
This
was
just gives
showing
you
himself.
a lesson. Don't ever feel like the size of your vessel should keep you from standing at the top of it anyway.
Even if it's sinking.
It's like, it doesn't matter how small your ship is, it doesn't matter if it's sinking. Stand on top of the crow's nest and just stare out with a steely gaze.
Dude, if I could get any ship, honestly, I would want this dinghy here.
Yeah.
I would want this little piece of shit. I would love it. I would love it so much. But yeah, so a hilarious slapstick slap cut where it's just the way they direct it. The man's on top of the world. He's standing on the crow's nest. Zip down. He's in a small schooner. It's just like, it's so funny. It's so hilarious.
He's just a delightful character.
A hilarious character. The one who really carries this movie to make it more than it was meant to be. This was meant to be a B movie, and he carries it to an A+. If he didn't get Best Supporting Role, he should have.
Yeah.
So he dumps water, and it cuts to these hanging men. Again, more eerie stuff. Yeah. Aside from the music's not eerie. Although the brass comes in, which kind of adds to that eerie vibe. And so it's dead people. And he tips his hat off to thee because pirates ye be warned. Now, by looking at Jack, and with the title being Pirates of the Caribbean, I think you would assume this is a pirate.
That man is a pirate.
That man is a pirate, so it's like... And also he's tipping his hat to other pirates.
Yeah, from tail to tip, that man is a pirate.
That man is an absolute pirate. He takes what he wants no matter what. And so, tips his hat to thee. And then they have this little bitty thing where I think they look down and it's his dump bucket that he was dumping water out of. They look down and then they look up to see... So there's the bucket. And then they all look up to see him. And I love this. This is Jack summed up to a T, is this shot. On top of the world, so content with life and happy as he's sailing on a sinking ship.
Big dick energy.
And then it's most of the time. Now, and he walks onto the platform, but there is a nitpick. He walks with his right leg but steps with his left. In the next cut.
Let's
So
see
he
it.
lifts up his right leg, right? That's his right leg. You know, and step left leg. So, little nitpick, but honestly, I love the energy. I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah.
It's a small blemish on a very good movie. And I like how, you know, this guy is probably used to, oh yes, this man is coming to sail to Port Royal, needs to write his name down, do all this jazz. And Jack's just like, nah, fam, and blazes past him. And he's like, what? Hold the fuck up. And Jack's like, shit. So, funny joke. He's like, it's a shilling to tie up the boat. A knot. Or a knock. And he looks down, and it's like, what fucking boat are you talking about? It's in the water.
Yeah.
And I like how he bypasses that situation, and he goes, I don't even know your name. It's like, walks up, and he's like, it's a shilling to park your car. Looks over, and it's totaled. I also need your name. And Jack's like, and so, obviously, just a normal guy needing official shit. Jack's loaded now, but he's like, how about, you know, some extra cash and you don't know my name, right? Obvious pirate big dick move.
Yeah.
Guy's like, shit, and even the kid's like, hot fucking damn.
Yeah.
Like a shilling,
even
I think
the little slave boy is just like.
A shilling was 15 cents back then, which 15 cents. I mean, 15 cents in the 1950s would buy you a movie ticket and like some popcorn and a soda.
That dude has 45 cents on his hands right now. That is I mean, think back to like the 1950s. That is a burger, fries, milkshake, and a movie ticket.
Exactly, and he just dropped 3 of those, which was like what, 200 years prior.
Yeah.
You know, so that's some swooping dick energy.
God.
You know, I mean, normally that's supposed to be a shilling for what? A fucking vessel?
Yeah.
Like an actual, like, full-size boat?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so he's like, welcome to Port Royal. He's like, I'm going to take this money. That's a lot of money. And then I love this little joke. Boom. And he's like, nah, I'm just going to pocket all of your shillings. So it's like, smart move. He's like, I'm going to give you 3 shillings here, and I'm just going to take all your money when you're not looking.
He probably made profit from that.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, Jack certainly made profit. You know? And then it cuts to the ceremony, because, we're keeping things going.
Yeah.
You know, the music is a twirling. I'll probably mute it for this, because it's the, there's not much going on audio-wise. Oh, that's... mute. Oh, there we go. So it's mostly the little ceremony shit going on. Cuts to the ship. And Jack is looking out at different vessels, obviously.
Yeah.
Looking sketch. This man's looking very sketchy.
He's a little sus, as the kids would say.
He's sus, as the Zoomers would say. They're doing their little thing, little thingamajig.
Mm-hmm.
Present
Step
arms.
march, present your dicks.
Yep. Cocks out. And then we have this cut of the sun and Elizabeth fanning herself.
Blaring.
It is blaring. It is bright. Look at this guy. He is almost like shunned out by how bright the sun is, silhouette-wise, right? So the idea that this is supposed to be presenting. I mean, honestly, the last thing you not necessarily need, but the last thing you can do is just add a sizzling noise on top of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe
fry some eggs on the sidewalk.
Yeah, like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. And then he presents the sword to Norrington. So now we have that complete setup. We're like, yes, all this makes perfect sense. And this is great because it's a ceremony of it's probably historically accurate where you present gifts to someone becoming Commodore. What's up?
I do want to look at something.
Okay. How far back you want to go? Here, I got you.
No, I just need to.
What, go back 10 seconds or?
Yeah, like 10 seconds.
Yeah, we're
actually
right here.
10 more seconds.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like they're doing the step march salute, blah blah blah. He's smiling upon the crowd. He's smiling at Norrington, I imagine.
Yeah, Norrington's being serious.
He's just like, okay, so
Is it a replacement that you're looking at, or?
I'm looking at the dress because I swear that's not the same dress.
Mm.
Cause I mean, I know we're getting a closer up shot of it, but I feel like they had multiple dresses, probably of similar design, because it was not that yellow. Like, it was mostly
Wait,
gray.
yeah, in the beginning?
Yeah, in the beginning.
I get what you're saying.
It was a lot less sheer, it was much more poofy, and there was a lot less yellow, I think.
Let's see, what are we at now? We're at, let's see, 2:13:37. Let's back it up real quick.
See if we
this. I mean, like...
Man, I don't know, but like
it's
when
up in the air. I mean,
coming down the stairs,
it could
I was
be
just like-
it could be the same dress, but it's.
I think it's just the lighting of the set made it look a lot different because like now that I'm like super looking at every detail, I'm
Yeah.
like picking out things that don't need to be picked out.
Right. Like as if the dress is the same. But now we have this kind of complete arc because it's not just he's not just presenting a sword now, right?
Yeah.
This sword now has his like a history. It now has a purpose. It now has like meaning behind it. It's not just ceremony. Here's a sword. Because the writers could have easily just been like, we're having this ceremony, and we present Norrington a sword, or let's give him something to work with or mess around with to buffer the time. Let's give him a sword, right? It's like no. You know who made this sword? Fucking Will. So now we know it's his sword. We know how he feels about the sword right now in his situation. We have all this context that is provided within just, like, this is, like, 10 minutes in this movie, and we already have so many setups.
I love that we're 10 minutes into this movie, and we've been talking about it for an hour.
Almost 2 now.
2 hours?
It's been 1:45, man.
Oh, my God.
Like I said, I know this is going to be a 2-parter.
Oh, God, at least. If not 3 or 4.
I told you I like this movie.
I like this movie too, but not enough to talk about it for 6 hours. As a matter of fact, let's take a time out so I can take a piss.
Well, buckle up, Buttercup. I'll talk about some of the other details. You go ahead and wait your willy.
Picks up my loud, frothy piss in the water.
I'll try and speak louder for you. So as we get this shot here of Norrington admiring his sword, doing his little formalities, we get this close-up, which I think this angle was a bit harsh, personally, because when I was a kid, I had trouble eyeing back to Elizabeth to see her expression that it was... Chill the fuck out! But to get her expression right here, that it's hot, because my focus originally was on Norrington, because he's making all these moves, swishing his sword around. And so I never really noticed when I was a kid that Elizabeth is showing signs of distress with the sun. I feel like maybe if they were angled a little bit narrower together, we would have gotten a better expression and a better eye-to-eye contact of this. Because right now we're darting literally from one end of the screen to the other. And it's just, I wouldn't say it's too harsh, but it's just... It's not terrible. It's just a nitpick, but it's something small that I think could have benefited the show or benefited this scene to kind of add to why she does the things that she does later on. But yeah, and then we come to the first dialogue of Jack. So he's walking around, and that's his classic walk. Arms a sway, drunken fool. Totally acknowledges and sees, if I'm not mistaken, these fine gentlemen right here. Yeah, boom, makes eye contact, is like, nah, don't give a shit, I want to keep going. And then these guys immediately rush, as their job is to do, to go and confront the man that has walked past their posts. So they were guarding this area, and Jack looks over and he sees them and he's like, nah fam, I want to keep going. Keeps going, right? And then we have the guards who were probably chilling out, just talking about shooting shit. And they see this and they're like, "Oh fuck, this guy is trespassing. We gotta stop him. We gotta do the thing." And so they rush over and they're like, "This dock is off limits to civilians." So we're at the two little goofballs here. We've added some new characters.
Oh, the goofballs! Yay!
I think it's funny because if you cut back over here. to Jack, he acknowledges them and keeps going,
Mm.
which is a move I just really appreciate. Like he's walking
This
down.
guy
there,
exudes big dick energy.
like let me get rid of the
Even the way he
overlay.
walks.
See right here, he's looking over at the ships, right? He keeps walking down, and then boom, right here, makes eye contact with the guards that are chilling over here, right? And then he's like, "Yeah, nah, I'm gonna keep going." And they're like, "Wait, fucking, where are you going?"
Later.
Well, yeah, literally later. And like, "Oh shit! This dock stays off limits to civilians, sir." And he talks to them. What I like about Jack is that, particularly in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a problem I have with the later movies. The problem I have with them is that they make Jack more of a slapstick humor character
Yeah.
than a genuine intellectual.
Yeah.
Jack, albeit morally abdicated in this movie, he's got plenty of issues. I think that's the right word. He's got plenty of problems, plenty of moral issues. The man is smart, though. He's a
Yes.
cunning character. I feel like in the later movies he's less cunning, which is why I mostly enjoy this one. Because he talks to these two like as if they're already best friends.
I didn't very much care for Dead Man's Chest. The one with the squid guy.
Yeah,
Davy Jones.
that's going to be Dead Man's Chest and At World's End.
Dead Man's Chest and At World's End.
Those are
Yeah,
the two of Davy
okay.
Jones.
So, I didn't very much care for the whole, like, Bootstrap Bill basically traded one curse for a different curse.
Essentially.
Yeah, I was just like, that just seems lazy.
Yeah.
And
I would have much rathered it be where they got rid of the Aztec gold and put him to rest. Because if you think about it, here is the fun thing. To think about, the curse prevents you from dying, right?
Mm-hmm.
While they were all cursed, Bootstrap Bill told Will to take the gold and run.
Yeah.
So he's still cursed.
Yes.
They strap him to a cannon and send him to the bottom of the ocean, which is highly pressurized and very heavy.
Yeah.
He cannot die
Yeah. So he's just in constant pain forever.
for 10 years
Mm-hmm.
until finally they put him to rest. So I would much rather... Because I think in Dead Man's Chest, if they came across Bootstrap Bill, he would have been way more fucked up than he already has. His nerves, his entire human ability, he would be a vegetable. No one can handle that much level of pain for 10 years and come out normal.
So that's the thing, is like, I don't think they feel pain. Or pleasure, for that matter.
I mean, you're still
think they
stuck at the bottom of the ocean for 10 years anyway.
I mean, yeah, I mean, boredom would get to you eventually.
He's an insane person.
Yeah.
He couldn't be sane after that.
It's just like, I'm at the bottom of the ocean for 10 years, can't die, can't breathe, can't feel, can't jerk off. And then that's just every day for 10 years. It's like, how quickly do you think you would go insane?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, just like, I'm in a dark room, I can't feel, can't see, can't die.
Numb
You
to
would-
all senses.
Numb to all senses. It was like, how quickly would you lose your mind?
Not long at all.
Yeah.
Because that, every second feels like an eternity.
Exactly.
You know? And, but yeah, so that was...
That was a huge, like, blemish for me as
Yeah.
far as that movie went.
I agree.
But Stranger Tides, which is the one with Blackbeard, I thought it was fun because, like, it kind of a theme with these movies is that, like, you can tell how good a movie is going to be by how good the villain is.
Right.
It's almost, like, directly proportional. Like, this movie kicks absolute fucking ass because Barbossa kicks
Yes.
absolute fucking ass.
Barbossa is such a good villain.
Yeah.
That's why they fucking brought him back. Is because like, we
Exactly.
need Barbossa. He's great. They brought him back twice. They brought him back for At World's End, and then they brought him back for Dead Man Tell No Tales.
Yeah.
Which
And I
was,
was
a
just
shit
like,
movie.
nah, I didn't very much care for it.
It was bad.
Dead Man Tell No Tales, shit villain, shit movie. Everything about that movie sucked ass.
The only decent part of it that I liked was when the flashback when Jack was a kid, the young Jack.
Yeah,
That
where
was
they
the
kinda,
only-
like
that was the-
CGI. They like
Yeah,
de-aged
they
him.
de-aged him. That was the only part I thought was half decent.
Mm-hmm.
Was that scene? It was still kind of scuff, but Jack immediately talks to him. I do find this comment funny because they said this dock stays off limits to civilians.
Mm.
There's a little bit of wordplay. He's like, sorry, didn't know. If I see one, I shall inform you immediately. He's like, because I am not a citizen, I'm a pirate.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously not from Port Royal. He just showed up and like, this stock's off limits to civilians. He's like, well, I'm not that. So if I see one, I'll let you know. And he's like, I'll inform you immediately. And it's so witty. And then he walks over and they stop him. So he's like, okay. Jack's like, I got a situation. How do I get past this? I have these 2 guards, because he's probably been wandering around trying to figure out the layout of the area. He's like, I got 2 guards over here that are preventing me from taking a ship.
Yeah.
This is pissing me off. I want to acquire a ship, but these 2 fucking dumbasses are in the way. These guys don't even seem too smart. They just seem to be the lackluster guys. Because I just saw that they had a big ceremony going on over there, and these 2 are the guys that are left over, which means they're probably not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
They're just leftovers, essentially.
Yeah.
How can I trick them? And he goes, well, maybe. Here's what I think is going through Jack's mind. Maybe if I convince them that they're not important in this situation, that obviously, the work that they're doing is not worth it, that maybe I can slip by them and at least investigate a ship.
Yeah.
Maybe I can steal it in the night. So he's like, apparently there's some fancy ceremony going on. He's like, how could it be that y'all guys didn't get an invitation? I'm like, well. And so they're like, well, I mean, someone's gonna guard the place. And he's like, oh, it's great goal. Sure. But he's like, but. So he's like, but this ship over here, this, oh god, what is it? The Inquisitor. He's like, this ship, the Inquisitor, is so beautiful and so elegant and fast.
Because that's a whole ass, like, man of war.
Yeah, that's a man of war. He's like, it kind of makes this ship look like trash, right? So what's the point in guarding these pieces of shit when you got this fucking man of war down here?
Yeah.
So you see his point. He's trying to convince these 2 guards, like, this ship is already a big deal. Why the fuck do you care about these 2 little guys? Why do you have to guard these guys?
Because those are like what, brigs?
Yeah, exactly. Let's see.
Yeah, I only know ship names from Black Flag Assassin's Creed.
Yes, me too. I know
schooner, brig,
I know a few.
frigate, galleon.
I'm almost positive though. I'm almost positive that that is Jack's dinghy. Let me see if I can brush up on my pirate.
Jackdaw.
See if that's correct. I might be mistaken. Let's see. Man, it's in fandom. I know it.
All 5 ships.
Yes, I just spelled it wrong. Jack Sparrow's dinghy. It's actually called a dinghy.
Okay.
Fucking knew it. Anyway, just wanted to point that out. Or maybe it was this. Oh, that's called the Jollymon. That's funny. Y'all guys can't see it, but it's the ship that Jack rode in on in the beginning. The dinghy actually was this guy. It's even smaller. So what you're referring to might have been a schooner.
Yeah.
But this is a dinghy.
A dinghy is basically a canoe with a sail.
Essentially. And they clap back because they're like, oh, Interceptor. That's right. I'm a fucking idiot. They said, so he's referring to the ship that they're riding on, the Dauntless.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the ship names now, right? He's like, Dauntless isn't bad, but nobody can match the Interceptor for speed.
Right.
Which is good because now we get information on these ships, and the viewer might be asking, why the fuck do I give any shit about these ship names or what they can do? Well, that's a good question because these ships actually have purpose and they serve plot later on in the show or in the movie, and this is a setup for us to understand how they function in the world. So we now know that the Interceptor is probably the fastest ship in the fleet.
Yeah.
Which means Jack over here is like, so if I want to steal any of the ships, the best one is going to be the Interceptor. This Dauntless
The
guy,
one that gets away.
yeah, the Dauntless has a good amount of firepower, but the Interceptor is the one that's really got the speed, which is what I would want, right? You know, the Dauntless is all right, but the Interceptor is what we want, right? Which is a good setup. I think I know where I would want to end this episode, and I'll try and see if I can get us there.
Okay.
Although there might be some time, that might be a while. I'll try and.
Hey, this might be 4 hours and 4 parts.
We'll see. And so Jack immediately brings up, you know, there is a ship though that's better, the Black Pearl.
Oh my god.
And one of the guys is like, oh, you know, yeah, there's no real ship that can match the Interceptor. And I always love this little banter that they have. He's like, it's a real ship. And so they start going back and forth on whether or not the ship fucking exists. And then essentially, we can connect it. A black sail, it's crewed by the damned. Captain My Man so evil that hell itself spat him back out. So he begins talking about this ship tale. So us as viewers, we're like, oh, that's probably that, you know, fucking terrifying ship that we saw in the prologue.
Yeah.
Right? And so and so now we know the name of that ship. That's called the Black Pearl. Curse of the Black Pearl. We can now connect all the dots. We're like, okay, now this makes sense. And they continue this funny banter. And he's like, but I have seen a ship with black sails. And he's like, oh, so a ship that doesn't have a skeleton crew and is fucking terrifying could possibly have black sails, therefore could possibly any other ship than the Black Pearl. And he's like, no. And he's like, yeah, no. So there's no real ship that can match the Interceptor. During this whole conversation, Jack's like, yeah, I'm gonna go fuck off and let them do their thing. I'm gonna make my play. And they look over, and he's just fucking off on the ship. And I want to talk about this like 4D chess move that Jack makes. They're like, hey, you know, you're not allowed to be on here. And he's like, it's such a pretty boat, though. I'm like, what's his name? Calls it Smith because that's what the guy gave him, the name.
Yeah.
And okay, so they look at Jack and they're like, all right, what's your purpose in being here, Mr. Smith? You know, no lies. And Jack's like, he plays it off with a very nonchalant attitude. He goes, it's my intention to commandeer one of these ships, sail towards Tortuga, and pilfer and plunder my black heart out. He's like, I'm a pirate, and I'm going to pirate this shit.
Yeah.
So, straight up telling the truth.
Yeah.
He said no lies. He's like, all right then. He's like, I'm going to do all of this shit. He's like, I didn't say lie. And then he's like, and there's this baller line that Jack makes, which I feel like people abused because they started making Jack give off lines that didn't actually make sense, but they reminded you of this scene.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh yeah, Jack just says nonsensical things.
He's just got a one-liner for everything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he mixes up his words to make them sound intelligent when really they don't make sense. Which I think is wrong because they get it from this line, which makes perfect sense. It's his 4D chess move, which makes him smart as fuck. Because he goes, I said no lies. And the dude says, I think he's telling the truth. And then he claps back with, if he was telling the truth, he wouldn't have told us. Right? Because why would he tell us that, essentially? Why would he tell us that he was going to be a fucking pirate? And then Jack says, unless he knew you wouldn't believe the truth, even if he told it to you. And he's like, the only reason why I would tell you the truth is if you didn't believe it because I told you. The truth is so outrageous that you wouldn't have believed me even if I told you. Yeah. Which, in the context of this dialogue, to any person it's kind of like that scene with Bilbo where he's like, oh god, what the fuck is the line? I know half of you. I know half of you. Oh god, I'm gonna have to look that up. I can't know that. Yeah. I don't know that line. It's too out there. Bilbo.
Oh, that was a lot of menthol. God, that paralyzed menthol.
I can smell it from here. Yeah. I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
What?
Bilbo Baggins.
I don't know half of you half as well as I should like.
And I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
What? Okay.
It's a good line. It's
that's a baller line, but it's hard to follow.
It is very hard to follow, and I feel like that's kind of what they got from this line here, right?
Yeah.
That
was hard to follow. I'm like thinking about it, and I'm just like, half is a quarter. What?
That you deserve what?
Yeah.
But and so I feel like in later movies they really just made Jack say nonsensical stuff.
Oh yeah, quarterly. Now that we're talking about hobbits and quarters, I wanted to bring up that in Noah's Realm there is a race called quarterlings. They're half halfling and half human. They're called quarterlings.
That's cool. And so they take and they're obviously puzzled by this.
Yeah.
We have more random music from this shit, and we'll probably skip through some of this. Norrington's like, hey, Norrington essentially proposes to Elizabeth. Elizabeth is distraught in this situation, not because of Norrington essentially, but because the sun is so fucking hot and she can't breathe in this thing because we mentioned it earlier. So there was that setup, right? And he's like, I'm sorry if I seem forward, but I have to tell you, I love you. You're a fine woman. He's essentially, he's like saying this promotion has reminded me that I'm sad and lonely and I need a wife, and so I would like to marry you. And she doesn't know how to handle this shit. She's like, I'm 20, you're 40. This is a bit weird.
Yeah, it's cool to marry people that you knew since birth.
Yeah. And so she fucking faints and passes out. And I love this. So it cuts to them. They're sitting there while he's chilling over the ship, and he's like, and then they made me their chief.
Regaling them with stories.
Like, they're totally captivated by this situation. Like, Jack can just talk himself out of any situation.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
They got, like, a stiff bottom lip in case something goes wrong, but they are indulging him.
Yeah, they are indulging him, exactly. And then just splash. And he's like, fucking, where'd you go? And he's like, oh, shit.
My proposal made her faint.
Yep. And smart enough, or quickly enough for his character, he immediately tries to disrobe, and then like, no, there's rocks down there. It's a miracle she's not fucking dead. So there's a bit of a convenience there where you can't dive towards her, but shit, you can fucking faint and trip over and fall, and you'll be okay.
They're just like, it's a miracle she missed the rocks. Like, don't try your luck twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Miracles don't strike
Yeah, to be fair, though, she's actually pretty...
she is only, like, a couple feet away.
Yeah, you would have to make a decent jump.
Yeah.
Right? So it's pretty luck on her part.
Hold on, just aim for the splash that she made.
Exactly. And so they cut back, and there's a good funny line. They're like, I can't swim. And he's like, part of the King's Navy you are. You're in the Navy and you can't swim. And then I just love this situation because he's a pirate and he's looking at Navy guards and he's like, take my guns, take my shit, don't fucking lose it. I'm gonna go save the governor's daughter. It's like, I'm sorry, what?
Okay, here's the thing: is that at this point in the movie, he has no idea who that is.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
He's doing this purely out of good grace, or like trying to obtain good grace.
Right, and he's like, well, fuck, if these guys aren't going to do it, I'm the only person that can help this lady.
Yeah.
And then...
He, of course, sees the medallion. He's like, oh,
yeah.
fuck.
So this thing shows up, and it goes, boom, makes this big boom, sees shockwaves go through the water, and he's like, the fuck was that? Looks up. Now, here's an important thing. Very important thing that people don't catch on to. The wind changed, right?
Yeah.
The wind shifted going towards Port Royal. If you know anything about ships, when the wind, of course, if the wind is on your side and it's blowing into your ship, obviously your ship goes faster than if the wind was blowing against it. You want to move
parallel with the wind.
You want to move exactly. The wind after that coin, made that shockwave. It changed the wind to favor something.
Yeah. If you guys ever played Wind Waker, the Zelda game, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, if you know any basic sailing, you understand that you want the wind parallel going the same direction you are because it gives you maximum speed. If you're sailing against the wind, you're generally much slower than normal.
Yeah.
So, if you have a cursed ship that we've talked about before, this is a bit of a jump. This cursed ship is looking for its medallions, right? This Aztec gold. The thing that this is setting up is essentially this ship is faster than any, nigh uncatchable.
Yeah.
The reason why it's uncatchable is because the wind is always in its favor.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it unbeatable. And so that's what this symbolizes. This symbolizes change in the winds, as Gibbs says later on. He's like basically a turn of the tide. The wind is now in the favor of the Black Pearl. The Black Pearl is on its way.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like no matter where the Black Pearl goes.
Yeah, the black because not only that,
See,
but
that's the
the Black Pearl motif starts playing as well.
See, that's the thing is like, is the wind always being on the Black Pearl side? Is that a function of the curse or the coins themselves?
It's a function. Well, it's kind of both because
that's
the coins give off a curse.
Here's my two things: is that like they are cursed by the coins,
Right.
The coins demand that they always be together,
Right.
as a whole.
Right.
So are the coins themselves guiding them to the coins?
Yes.
So that they can gather them and
So that
bring
they
them
can-
back?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is a function of the curse itself.
Yes.
Is that like, hey, you guys separated me, so I'm going to like guide you back?
Yes. And you have to repay in blood.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the basically way to lift the curses. You have to pay with blood. Every member has to pay with blood, by the way. Or every member that stole the
So,
coins.
now that I think about it, it's probably not improbable that like a coin got lost, because if the wind is always guiding them towards the coins,
Then they'll be able to find them.
they'll be able to find them by just like process of elimination at least.
Yeah. It will always be calling, because that's one of the things that they say later on is that the gold calls to us.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to find it generally just by I guess that's the one feeling they have is being called to the gold, kind of like the Nazgul in the One Ring.
Yeah.
It's being constantly called. They might not be able to pinpoint it, but they always feel the presence.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was always a cool thing, and you can kind of hear it when the music changes. Right? He's like, "What's that?" The music changes to it starts playing the dun 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 dun. The wind starts blowing heavily, and it's supposed to be symbolizing, because that's a Black Pearl's motif, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And it's symbolizing, hey, the Black Pearl's on its way. Jack swims down and he starts to save her. We'll get up. He's obviously, it's hard enough to carry a person. Carrying someone in a what is now a 30-pound dress would be even harder.
Lord.
No wonder she sank to the bottom.
Yeah.
Storms
Jeremy, real
brewing.
quick.
Yeah.
I need you to Google what year this movie came out.
Okay. Let's see.
Uh,
2003.
That's hilarious.
Why is that?
Because that's the exact same year that Wind Waker came out too.
Really?
So I can't tell which franchise got the idea from which.
Well, I would say, I think, honestly, it might have been individual on both, because the game was probably in development years before.
Yeah.
Along with the movie.
And the movie was in development years.
So it was just a crazy coincidence that they both came out.
Because like Wind Waker, they had this. It was cut from the game, but it was intended to be a part of it. They had a super sail or whatever they called it, and it was basically like, it's an upgraded sail that basically the wind follows the sail. Whatever direction you're going, the wind is parallel to
like
you.
the Black Pearl. That's cool.
So
That's cool.
I was like, so I was always curious about like which franchise got the idea from which.
That's cool.
And now that I know that they came out probably the exact same time, I'm like, it's probably they just had parallel thoughts.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing to think about. Wind Waker, good game.
Great game. That was my first Zelda game.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I played
Oh.
Wind Waker, then Ocarina of Time, then Twilight
I
Princess.
still need to beat Ocarina of Time.
I have it on the 3DS if you want to borrow.
Now
it.
this one doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There is a bit of a thing with the with what he comments. So he's like, "Oh yes, we need to cut this open, give her room to breathe, because that was the problem." And he's like, "Never would have thought of that." And he says, "Clearly, you've never been to Singapore. There's no real historical reference, so we just have to assume that Jack had to do this to save someone's life in Singapore. But there's not really any." There's no historical reference there. It's just a joke.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just a quick
Whatever that was about.
but Jack picks up the medallion, immediately knows what it is, and he's like, "Fucking what?"
He's like, "Excuse me, miss."
Miss random person that I just saved. What the fuck are you doing with this?
Do you mind explaining yourself?
I think the biggest cosmic coincidence of this show is Jack showing up to Port Royal.
Yeah. I mean, it's very hard to make a movie that's not held together by at least one coincidence.
Right.
Because it kind of like, that's the thing, is like, it kind of makes it feel like fate.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, this is destined to happen.
Right.
Which I'm not sure if that's like a benefit or a detriment to a story. Because sometimes it could be like, you know, enhancing. But when it, I don't know, I'm just not a big fan of like contrived plots.
Agreed. Norrington is like, "You just derobed my lady that I just proposed to. Get the fuck up. Sword drawn, ready to fight."
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dad comes to help, blah, blah, blah. He's like, he looks over to Jack and he's like, "He disrobed her." And he's like, "Fucking cap the ass." Elizabeth vouches for him because he saved her, essentially. But Norrington is a smart motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Yo, this guy looks sketch. I don't..."
Okay, even if you never met a pirate in your life, or you've never, like, killed or hunted pirates, if you looked at this man, you'd be like,
Yeah.
"You look like a fucking pirate."
You look like a sketchy dude. And so he's like, "I think things are in order." Reaches a hand out. And Jack, being also smart, is like, "I don't know if I want to shake your hand because you're being a bit too cordial."
Mm-hmm.
Like, because he probably doesn't get this all the time.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't know if I want to touch. And then, boom. Immediately has a second idea and was branded with the mark of pirate.
Yeah. East Indian
So
Trading
he's been branded with pirate, and so the governor's like, "Yeah, we're gonna hang him. Sorry, there's nothing I can do with that." And then the sparrow tattoo lets them know that it's Jack Sparrow, Captain Jack Sparrow.
So they know who Jack Sparrow is.
Yes, they know where he. It's the.
This is actually my favorite.
Yes,
line.
he's like, "I don't see your ship, Captain." And he's like, "I'm in the market," which is funny. He said he came to commandeer one. They finally realized that he was telling the truth. And then Norrington basically looks through all this shit.
Mm-hmm. This is one of my favorite lines ever.
Yes.
It's coming up, but...
I'll let you know where he's like, no additional shots, there's no powder, you just have one shot in your pistol. Which is a good setup. We now know that his, because he says no additional shots. Mm-hmm. He's like, you have one shot in this gun, that's
and
it.
And no black powder at all.
No. Yeah. Well, he doesn't have any spare black powder.
Right.
But he has basically enough for a single shot.
A single shot.
Yes. A compass that doesn't point north. And then a funny joke. He half expected the store to be made of wood. Then, right over here. You're without a doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of. But you have
heard of me.
Fucking
and that face. That face
that
of like...
Giga Chad clapback. Like...
Look at that face.
Oh, man, it's brilliant. Yeah, I'll take us away to look at that. Yeah.
The squinted eyes.
He's like, have heard of me,
yeah,
though.
bitch, but I am Captain Jack Sparrow.
Can't say I've heard of a Norrington cuck. I think I've only heard of a Captain Jack Sparrow. I didn't see your name on the wanted list.
What a brilliant line.
Baller move. And so Norrington's not happy with that. And then we have this moment. She's like, hey, and this one is one I still need to wrap my head around. She's like, yo, he saved me. And he goes, one good deed does not redeem a man for a lifetime of wickedness. And he goes, but it's enough to condemn him. And so that's some philosophical banter for you guys, whether who's right, Norrington or Jack, because Norrington's trying to argue like, this guy just did one good thing, but he's had a lifetime of doing shit, that's not enough to redeem him. And Jack is clapping back by saying, but apparently it's enough to condemn him doing something good.
Yeah. It's like he did a good deed and now he's being punished because he's been found out.
Exactly. And so there's that. Jack's like, this is a bad situation. You know what I want to do? I want to take a hostage. Which is smart. Don't shoot because muskets are inaccurate as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
They had just enough of a likelihood to shoot Jack as they did Elizabeth in this situation.
Well, the thing about, like, before Eli Whitney made interchangeable parts and reinvented the gun, or the firearm, I should say, the rifle, really, before Eli Whitney reinvented the firearm, it was basically just like a smooth steel tube and a little ball bearing.
Right.
And it just shot basically wherever it traveled. It went out the tube and it was basically a gambler's choice of where it landed.
Right.
But when Eli Whitney, he reinvented the gun, he actually made like a spiraling tube which spun the bullet.
The rifling, yes.
Yeah, the rifling. It spun the bullet, which basically centered it for you.
Right. And now we finally have one of our main protagonists meets the sub-character, which, yes, Jack is a supporting role. He is not a main character. The problem with the other Pirates of the Caribbean films is they made Jack the center.
Yeah.
Jack Sparrow's like a Pimp Daddy Purple. They don't need to be the center of attention. They do much better when they are supporting roles because they get to act freely. They get to do what they want, and they're not restricted to the plot of the story.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like when you have a character like that, you have to use them sparingly.
Exactly. He has his own ideas in mind. Because the main plot is putting Will and Elizabeth together, right? Mm-hmm. Will Turner's arc and Elizabeth Swann's arc. That's the main characters. That's the main plot of the story. Mm-hmm. Jack has his own goals in mind. He doesn't give a fuck about either of them.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him cool, is because he's doing his own thing. He goes, this will be the day, he gets his shit back. He's hold her hostage. He's like, this will be the day that you almost caught me. Even though, funny enough, that gun wouldn't have gone off because of the water.
Yeah, it's soaked.
But he's just trying to be cool. He almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow. And here we get into the first event. Now, Shay and then we're trying to argue this. I'm going to argue for the movie because I'm biased. I'm going to be honest.
What's the argument?
So, Jack immediately... Now, this is a quick moment happening. When you push the girl, right? Mm-hmm. They push the girl out. As a British as a British officer, seeing this pirate, you're like, okay, the girl's free. We're going to grab this guy.
Yeah.
So, boom, immediately rush to sprint. That's what I would do. I'd be like, we're getting this guy, bomb rush to him, right?
Yeah.
He's grabbing a rope. My first instinct, he's going to climb the rope. Mm-hmm. Climbing the rope takes, like, lat strength. It's kind of difficult. Takes time, right? So, I can reach him in that time. So, full sprint. Boom. Kicks this thing. And so, guys are reaching, right? Boom. And then this guy... immediately falls in.
Yeah, let's see.
I want to argue that, albeit yes, it is a bit odd because he was already in the process of swinging up, and it's not perfect. I feel like it should have been done faster.
Yeah.
Like they should have had other guys coming. Oh, that face.
Oh, he just came to her touch.
Both of them. Oh God. But boom, immediately, click,
boom,
slings up, and then
up and away.
Boom, and this guy falls in. Now, yes, it's a bit slapstick for kids to enjoy, but I think it at least has some merit in the sense that they were trying to grab him. He swung up. They were reaching for him. Other members are probably swarming, right? Mm-hmm. It's not just going to be two guys reaching up and they're going to stop. They're going to keep rushing through.
Yeah.
They're going to keep coming. They don't really know what's going on. Plus, it's a very intense, quick situation. I can give it a little bit of suspense of disbelief, especially with how quick the scene plays out.
Yeah.
Only if you break it frame by frame do you really see, okay, there's a bit of a gap here.
He totally could have stopped himself.
He could have stopped himself.
But
yes.
if you rewind to that scene, I do want to point out one thing.
Which part?
Just pause when he begins to fall in.
Okay. Let's see. Right
Yeah,
here.
go in. That dude, there's two of them.
Yeah.
So
Holy shit! I never noticed
See, that's
that.
the thing. There's two of them. I think one of them just pushed the other in. Like, they were rushing him, and then the guy behind him just kind of, like, pushed the other guy in.
That's fucking whack, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 948 is the best that I can do for me.
Because click, up and away, crash, and yeah, there's two of them. See,
There's two of them.
right there and there. I think they went to grab for him, and they didn't have a lot of room to move around because they were right next to each
And
other.
then
So
they
they
just
just kind of
boom.
Yeah.
And then this just amazing
This
moment.
sick-ass escape
This
scene.
sick ass escape. It's awesome. He's like swinging around and they're like, fucking shoot him now. Open fire. Boom. Jack's just like, fuck, like screaming out of his mind. He ends up being able to swing over here, which I can live with. The chains now. Let me back this up so you can see the chains real quick. Because this the chains are pretty fucking long. Yeah, that's a lot of chain.
More chain than he needed.
More chain than he needed. And it's just so he can whip it around and grab it, of course.
Yeah.
But you know, it's that movie magic, and so there is a bit of a nitpick there. And here's the problem that I have. There are people over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are civilians this direction.
Yeah.
They straight up just start shooting towards his area around other civilians.
They don't care about civilian lives. They care about pirate lives.
Yeah, they are being very non-discriminate. Like they are going crazy. In fact, there's a quick little bit where you can see a fucking bullet whiz by.
Right there.
Right here, yeah.
It looked like it ricocheted off the bridge a bit.
Yeah.
Because you see, like, that curved arc.
Exactly. Where they run after him. I like that his name is Gillette and he's clean shaven. Like, if you wanted a
Gillette, Mr.
If you wanted a sponsor, that's it right there.
That is Mr. Gillette right
Mr.
there.
Gillette. Fucking absolute legend he is.
Yeah. Men should be better. Men should be Mr. Gillette.
So here's the question, alright? I'm gonna go and do a pee break.
Yeah.
Jack has done his escape. The question is, I can keep going. Would you like to?
Yeah, let's keep it up.
Okay. Let me go and use the
Because
bathroom.
this isn't live, right?
No, it's not live.
Okay, so we can just cut out any dead air.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm probably just gonna straight upload it live, like
Yeah.
as if it was live, just to save energy.
So we can lie to people and say that it was done live.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not gonna really do any post production on it. So
Sure,
if you
sure.
just want to talk about some of the other events, because we're about to get some really cool stuff.
Yeah, because, let's see, a lot of stuff happens in very quick succession, so you have to, like, take it frame by frame.
Right.
But if we just take a look at the shot.
I do think that the sword, hiding the sword right there, is kind of fucking dumb.
Okay, yeah, like, they hid. I don't know why the sword even needed to be hid.
It did.
It was just to bring attention to the fact that he was behind a statue. So he goes inside to what we find out to be, you know, J. Brown. The J stands for Jerking It Brown. And he's just inside this blacksmith. Hey. He's inside the blacksmith. The master, actually. And here he is. Here's Mr. J. Brown. So this is a callback to, like, the earlier scene where we're like, you know, Will, he was very proud of the sword. He obviously made the sword. He wanted to take credit but couldn't. And this is his master, you know? A drunken, passed out, like, basically slob. Who really does, I can only assume, does not do shit. like, as soon as he was able to train Will to the level that he was at, he just stopped working. He was just like, Will, you're good enough to run the shop on your own. I'm just going to sit idle and just let the money and orders run in, and you just take care of everything, buddy. So yeah, it's like, give my compliments to your master, and Will is just like, my master is a fucking
Piece of shit.
piece of shit.
I want to grab us some brewskis if you're down.
We only got
Two
got
more?
2 left. Yeah. So
Is that alright?
yeah, sounds great. So yeah, it's just like a lot of scenes in this movie call back to earlier scenes, and it is, I want to say, it's kind of a movie you'd like to watch twice, you know? I mean, it's a good movie, so there's no reason not to watch it twice, but like a lot of things that you catch in the first time explain other stuff the second time you watch it. So it is a movie that it's worth watching twice, but it's also kind of enhanced by watching it more than one time.
Oh, definitely.
'Cause, you know, like I said, like, it's a movie where, like, scenes will call back to earlier scenes and they explain certain things, but like, subtly. Like, the blacksmith being a slob and why Will was, like, sad boy-eyeing
Yep.
during all that.
There he is.
It's explained as, like, you know, here he is. Here's the master.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this drunken, passed-out slob, this piece of shit who doesn't do
Exactly.
anything.
I'm going to try and speed run the rest of this because Shay doesn't need to go to bed. It's like
Yeah.
midnight on our
dear.
time.
All right,
Um,
we'll have to find a good enough. This might have to be a 3-parter because we are 20 minutes into this movie. We are 20 minutes into this 2-hour and 2.5-hour movie.
Ooh, I mean, that is the thing I like about, you know, these good old movies. That's why I wanted to choose these movies in particular. Because these movies, as you've seen, we've been able to talk about stuff scene by scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have all kinds of depth. They have all kinds of things to discuss. Like, the comedic relief of Jack, like, hitting the horse.
Yeah.
Which is a smart plan for him to use the gears to break the chain, right? You know? It's a smart plan, but boom, somebody's home, Daddy's home, and it just turns out to be Will because, yes, it's a blacksmith, so it makes sense that the blacksmith shop at Port Royal was Will Turner's.
Yeah.
Because he's a blacksmith.
That mule is my favorite character.
Oh, he's the most consistent, honestly.
Yes.
And then boom, he's like right where I left you, kind of cynical, but at the same time, you know, he's like, it's home.
Yeah.
And he's looking over curiously at his hammer. He's like, it's not where I put it.
He runs a tight ship, man.
Mhm.
He knows where hammers are left by. He knows that hat wasn't there earlier.
Exactly, and boom, he's like, oh shit. He's like, I just saw some guards outside. You're the one they're hunting. Pirate. And then this wonderful joke, have I threatened you before? Oh yeah, the scene I'm thinking about isn't gonna come anytime soon. And we'll do this. Like, it'll be a shame to put a black mark on your record. You know, I'll
He's
just
so witty.
see myself out.
He's just so witty.
And then boom. Will is like, I'm ready to fucking cut some bitches.
It's like,
Boom, draws a sword.
she's not gonna shag you if you kill me, you know.
And Jack's like, look, I'm an experienced swordsman. Do you really think this is a good move? And then boom, you threaten Miss Swan. And so now we have our good character clash, right?
Yes.
We have this whole thing where it's like our protagonist and our sub character or our supporting role are now clashing, and they have reason to clash. We know that Will Turner's known Elizabeth since she was a child, and that he loves her, and that he wants to be on her level, and he wants to prove himself.
Yeah.
Boom, dropped on his plate is this guy that threatened her life,
And now he's like,
and now he's like, I can get some payback. And,
you're getting your comeuppance.
and not only that, but he's got the build up of, like, I wouldn't say angst, but like irritation that he can't be known for being, you know, the guy that made that wonderful sword. And he's like, this is a chance to prove myself.
I feel for him, man. I feel for him.
Yeah. He has all of the reasons to go after this guy.
Yeah.
He's like, you threaten the woman I love. This is a chance for me to prove myself. I've been training all this time. I'm going to kick your fucking ass. And then he's
Third
like...
and final tap.
Third and final tap. I actually have a funny idea, too.
Yeah.
Jack's like, and he does this. Only a little. He's like, I only threatened her a little bit. And with that, with this sword fight that's coming up, I think that'll be a good cliffhanger to end this on.
Oh
With
yeah,
the sword
baby.
fight.
Hell yeah.
So it's been
It's been 20 minutes
23 minutes
from
and
a
we're
2.5 hour movie.
We've been going for 2.5 hours.
Oh my god. So if you think like every 20 minutes we go 2.5 hours.
Dude, the thing is like we can talk about like other like normal stuff,
Yeah.
but this is what I wanted this to be personally, because the next thing I want to do is, obviously this is a movie that I love. The next movie I want to do is something that you really love, which means if you want to, the next deep dive series could be Fight Club.
Oh god, that's gonna be a 20-parter.
You know,
That's a 2.5 hour movie. Oh boy.
so
The first 5 minutes are worth 2 hours of talking about.
So, but that's the thing that this is the kind of detail that I've always wanted to go into with these movies, because
Yeah.
this is what me and Riley enjoy. I love talking about the nuances of these movies. The problem with modern film is the nuances that I get into of modern films. I just find problems.
Yeah.
I just find issues. I find things that I don't like that leave a bad taste in my mouth. That's why we look back to these movies in the early 2000s, movies in the 90s, and this and that. And so I wanted to create this deep dive series to highlight the things that I appreciate in these movies and that I've seen over the years of watching them. And
No, it's just so Hollywood is so fucking pandery.
it really is at this point.
No, because what was it? It was just like people were giving shit to A Quiet Place because it was like it was pro gun or something.
Yeah,
I was just like, dude,
like
there are fucking monsters hunting your family down. Like, of course you're gonna get fucking like stacked up with ammunition.
Right.
I was like, oh, what? In that situation, you would have been a perfect hippie. You would have been like a total peacekeeper. You would have been the ambassador to the fucking monster aliens.
Exactly. Now, I was actually thinking, I might see if I can move Jace's bed into the guest bedroom area.
Wait, is Jason's bed still here?
It's in the living room at the moment.
Oh.
It's just the air mattress.
Gotcha.
I was wondering if we might be able to move it, because I was wondering. I mean, I might get too tired to actually watch that movie, but a movie I've been wanting to watch with you is Triple R.
Triple R, I don't know that one.
Bring it up. Y'all guys won't be able to see it, unfortunately. But it's a movie I've been wanting to watch with you. It's on Netflix. This guy right here.
Triple R.
It's a Bollywood movie, and it's
Dude, I fucking love Bollywood. I love it more than Hollywood.
It's so good, and the problem is though.
Oh my god, dude!
It's a 3-hour movie.
Guys, if you are not into the Bollywood hype like me and Jeremy are, get on it. Cause this shit slaps every time.
Oh man,
there's not a single bad Bollywood movie.
It's so good. It's so good. I love this movie.
I was like,
I want to watch this movie with you tonight.
I would love to, but like, holy shit, it's already like
it's
midnight.
already midnight. That's
But
the problem.
Here's the thing: is like, okay, audience, you guys have not lived until you've experienced the pure and utter unapologetic like decadence and just like slapstick over the top almost action comedy that Bollywood provides.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So yeah, this one's Triple R, and my god, it's so fucking awesome. I love it. I love this movie.
Yeah.
It has all of the audacity and outrageousness of a Bollywood film. I mean, with some of these shots, it should tell you all that you need to know. But my god, is it not fucking awesome?
God,
it's so good. It doesn't have
Seriously.
an English. It doesn't have an English thing though.
Doesn't need it.
Doesn't need it. It's so good.
It's like these movies are so good you don't have to understand the dialogue.
Yeah.
You just have to enjoy the spectacle.
It's such a spectacle. It's fantastic. It's fantastic movies. Worth a watch. and along with Pirates of the Caribbean. If you haven't ever seen Pirates of the Caribbean, which by the way, are you living under a rock?
You must have been born 3 days ago.
Exactly. Go watch Pirates of the Caribbean. It's a phenomenal movie. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this recording. So we'll catch y'all guys later when either a show, because I was debating doing the Wakanda Forever Black Panther, but that was last week and I was sick and I just don't want to cover it. I've listened to other guys cover it and it's not worth the time. I'd rather talk about something that I want to talk about something I'm interested in for a change.
For one, I have no huge interest in Marvel these days, just as a whole, as a franchise.
Agreed.
Also, it's Wakanda.
Yeah.
Like, it was about Black Panther, a very, like, tertiary superpower. Tertiary superhero. Like, you had, like, the big main ones, like Iron Man,
Captain
Thor,
America,
Captain America.
Hulk. Which,
But
by
it's
the
just
way,
like-
they have more movies of Black Panther than they do of Hulk.
Ugh,
Can you believe that?
for real. Like, I remember, like, Black Widow was, like, secondary because she was on the team, but she didn't have her own standalone
Same
film
with
for
Hawkeye.
several years. Hawkeye. But, like, Black Panther is very tertiary. He's on that level of, like, Ant-Man, where it's, like, he's not on the team, and any standalone movies are, like, completely separate.
Can you believe that Ant-Man's getting a third movie?
Dude, I'm just, like... Actually, no, I can't even speak on that because I'm stunned in silence. I'm just like, I tried to imagine, like, there was Ant-Man to introduce his character. There was Ant-Man and Wasp.
Here, I'll hide this one so you can see the webcam. Or look at the webcam.
No, I don't like to make eye contact with the audience.
Oh, it's on purpose?
Yeah, it was completely on purpose. Like, I like to look at myself because eye contact with the audience, even when it's with a camera, makes me uncomfortable.
It's because it's a small black eye.
Mm-hmm.
The eye of Sauron.
Yeah, dude, eye contact makes me uncomfortable. It sets off my autism.
That's why Riley used to not like me, is because I would constantly, like basically
No, dude, that
burn
was-
holes into his eyes.
Yeah, dude, that was fucking scary. It, like, gave me panic attacks. I was just like, me and Jeremy would just be talking, and I would just kind of be looking, like, down or away from him, because eye contact makes me super uncomfortable. People take it as, like, a sign of disrespect, or, like, you're not regarding someone. It's not like that. It's just, like, I can't look you in the eyes, because, like, my brain tells me to look away from you.
Right.
I don't know what that says about me, but that's how I've always been. And Jeremy, he's just, like, very into eye contact. So much so that he will chase you down to look you in your
I will
eyes.
look where you're looking just so I can meet you in the middle.
Yeah, it's just sort of like, it's like Jeremy, I would just be, like, sort of standing around. I would be looking at him, and then I would just sort of, like, quarter turn or, like, look away. And then he would fucking, like walk in front of my line of view so that he could, like, look me in the eyes. And so we're playing this game of, like, cat and mouse.
While having a casual conversation.
Just, like,
this is totally like under the table, like
Yeah.
subconscious almost.
yeah, exactly. It's just like, it's so automatic.
Riley's
Me and
like
Jeremy.
Riley's trying to avoid all sorts of eye contact, and I'm just burning holes into his retina.
It's like staring into the sun with me and Jeremy.
Oh, but yeah. Anyway, next week we will either continue our breakdown of Pirates of the Caribbean, picking back up with our with the fight with Will Turner and Jack Sparrow, or we will cover something else if something new pops up that we want to discuss. It's up for grabs. And then after Pirates of the Caribbean, as far as deep breakdowns go, I'd say we'll probably have Fight Club, because I think that would be a fun one to break down. I want to do a deep dive into something that I know you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any other ideas besides Fight Club, let me know, and we can do those too.
I mean, if you just want to do, like... Honestly, like, Bollywood is a good example of this.
We could do Triple R if we watch it.
I would love to do, like, breakdowns of just, like, big spectacle slapstick action comedies where it's like, the nuance isn't that important. The story
we wouldn't need to break it down scene by scene for some of these. We'd probably break down major scenes, like the major events that happen in those movies.
I'm trying to think of another movie that I would like us to review. Possibly from Paris with Love.
From Paris with Love.
Yeah.
Interesting.
A very unheard of movie.
Yeah.
Unremarkable movie. But there's one scene that absolutely kicks ass.
We could break down the 1989 Batman. We'll talk about that a little bit.
That's good.
At least talk about like the scenes that we find in particular. I don't know if that would be a scene by scene breakdown worthy show or movie, but that would definitely be worth talking about. Talking about the points that we like in particular.
Yeah, of course.
Me and Riley are I wouldn't say we're big movie buffs. I still need to expand my variety of movies that I've seen, but there's plenty of movies that we could do deep dives into. We could do this for almost eternity. So y'all guys will have plenty of content along the way, and not only that, but we're also going to be doing potentially other Let's Plays. I need to set aside time for Riley so he can actually record with me, because right now this is the only thing that we really do right now together, and I would like to do other stuff for them as well, and so hopefully we'll be having some of that in the future.
Look forward to Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Look forward to Fight Club deep dive. Look forward to the sex tapes that will be being released.
And possibly even look forward to some things that me and Riley might do over multiplayer, because Riley's gonna be getting a PC soon, and we might be I could have a day where we could literally just do shenanigans in some game.
My PC, they like send me emails to update me. It's been built and it's en route.
Really?
Yeah.
Fantastic. My goal is that hopefully with Riley's internet we will be able to actually do live streams. Right now this is a pre-record.
Yeah.
Because y'all guys, if y'all guys have watched, I'm sure you're aware, my internet's trash. I can either do like 480p or pre-records. Like it's one or the other. I can't really do any decent quality streams. For where Riley's at, I'm confident that his internet's better. If not, we might have to just stick with pre-records until we can come up with something else.
Yeah.
But essentially, I want to get an application that can connect me to Riley's computer, so I can do all the stuff that I do here on OBS on Riley's end through the application. And so, Riley would just need to sign in, connect with me on Discord, and then we can do actual live streams. They'll all be still through Action Bros Gaming, just on his computer rather than my own, because his computer will have the better internet access. So that's the goal. That's what we're going to shoot for. But I'm excited for. Honestly, I'm really excited for the next year.
Yeah.
I think what 2023. I think that'll be a really really fun year.
Yeah.
I think we'll do a lot. One of the things that, and also with PC, this is kind of a side note from everybody. One of the things I want to do more with you is write with you more.
Oh yeah.
I think I think me and you bounce well together, and we should really hunker down and start writing some stuff. I keep saying that every year, but I don't do it. I need to make that a New Year's resolution.
Yeah, to write with me.
Yeah, because normally my New Year's resolutions I take pretty seriously. So I should probably make that my next New Year's resolution.
Well, it was like my New Year's resolution was to get on the fitness game with you guys last year.
Yeah, and you're fucking here. You're jacked and you're great. You look fantastic.
You can't tell from this very thick, baggy shirt, but I'm ripped as hell.
He looks fantastic. He looks better than me at this point, and I've been doing this stuff for years.
Let's go, Dex Builds.
Let's go. So without further ado, we will see y'all guys later. Y'all guys have a good night, and we'll see y'all guys in the next one. Bye.
I hate you.
See y'all later.